No. Woo!
Hello, everybody. How's it
Hello.
going? We're here. It's Sunday.
Yeah.
We're
Late
gonna do a
Sunday.
high-speed one because
Me?
Rasa's got to
Me?
get to bed. It's gonna be midnight, right? I almost called you Lillian. Then I
Yeah.
almost called
Oh,
you Alicia. Then it's like you're Rasa.
I do have my name.
Yeah. So it's a
Yeah.
bit later start. Hello, there's
Yeah.
people here in the room already. That's
Oh,
great.
that's good.
We're here to talk. Oh, I don't know, comic books, maybe. What do you think?
Maybe.
Yeah, yeah, maybe. I don't know, maybe.
Do you want
Um,
to talk rugby?
yeah, the 2 hour rugby stream.
Yeah. That would
Hello,
be
sleepy
easy.
reader.
Hello, Damien. How are you doing? Yeah. So yeah, it's a quite late one because I've been watching Rugby World Cup, so
Yeah,
I'm gonna be like very sorry tomorrow. I'm gonna be
yeah, totally.
I'm gonna be so sleepy, but hey,
Yeah,
it's worth it. We haven't had chat previous week, didn't we? So
yeah. I mean, we last week or did we not last
no,
week? I can't
no,
remember now.
no, we
No, we didn't.
didn't. No,
Okay,
last week we didn't do it. That's why I was like, oh yeah, I want to do this. I
right.
miss already, like so.
Yeah, yeah.
Before we start, I'll show you my work.
Yes.
There you go. I'm prepping for winter, so
Nice.
I crochet myself a hat. There you go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
beautiful. Nice
yeah.
work. Hey, that looks pretty good, eh?
I made I haven't crocheted for about 6 years, so I don't think it's bad. 6 years later
Right.
to kickstart again. So yeah, prepping for
Yeah,
winter.
looks great.
Yeah.
Hello,
So
Paulo Costa.
just wanted to show my work.
Hello, Andrew Lopez.
Hello.
Everybody's here.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I've been doing that as well. Somehow I got into.
excellent.
It's like like why buying the thing? I can make my own. So I kind of wanted to make my own.
Yep,
Be
absolutely.
unique.
Why
Be
buy indeed?
unique.
The
Yeah.
money you
So
save on that can go straight to other things.
yeah.
Or
Exactly.
maybe save, I don't know, whatever. Yeah.
Whatever. That I
Yeah.
don't care about that one.
Screw that. Yeah, exactly.
I'll probably cover myself in comics when I need to warm myself up.
Yeah, right. You can burn them in the fireplace. My mother's calling, so I'm just gonna ignore that.
Oops, sorry.
I'll
Sorry,
call her
mama.
later.
Oh, mama. Yeah,
Yeah, it's Sunday. It's always
yeah,
Sunday, right?
cool. So, are
Checking if
you
they're
keeping
alive.
up with a soccer TV show before we start?
Shit, yeah, we just watched the new episode a couple nights ago. So we're all the way caught up with it.
Mhm.
Um, and I enjoy it. I wasn't as
Mhm.
crazy about this newest episode,
Yeah.
but overall, I really like the show. I think it's great. We're
Hmm.
really digging it as a family. I love the space whale slash octopus things,
That
whatever the
is
hell those are. They're so great.
that's a beautiful scene, especially
Yep.
when they okay entered the one's mouth and it's like okay
Yeah.
let's just try it. When then they because they pick up the speed of no nobody can do it and on the thing. I
Yep.
think Ahsoka is one of the TV shows that really actually makes me excited about Star Wars. But
Hmm.
the another part is that because I watched Clone Wars and Ahsoka was one of the main characters. So I really liked the portrayal of her, the way she was there, especially
Hmm.
from a young age. And you kind of had a snippet in the show as well of that scene when they were actually doing Clone Wars in the Ahsoka show. Like when the Anakin was basically kind of teaching her in the same way, and she's like, "I don't
Yes.
want to kill anymore," kind of thing, because she was like tired of
Yep.
always being at war, and then how many those clones has died and perished,
Hmm.
and she's questioning herself why, and that's what the beginning of her don't wanting to be Jedi because she kind of losing it. This, like what's kind of word the Jedi's are involved in. So really entertaining, and I highly recommend. I don't know why you're
Hello,
waiting so
Geraldine.
long. Hello, Daryl. But you have to go watch with your family Clone Wars because it's
Yeah,
spectacular.
I've
To me,
started. I've started watching it. So I
yeah,
watched the movie. They weren't too into watching the movie with me, so I
yeah,
said, "Well, I'm going to watch the movie, and then we're going to watch the series together."
yeah,
I mean, it's 100 and something episodes, but
yeah,
if they're not into it, I may just start watching it myself. Like I don't want to wait. I have I have zero shows that I watch
yeah,
regularly, really,
yeah,
like
yeah.
especially on my own. So that would be one I would dive into that. So I'm ready now that I
Yeah.
kind of get a sense of the world. It feels like there's a lot that I'm of the backstory that I'm missing that I'm looking forward to.
Well, Ahsoka ones especially, she's the Rebels, the after show. There's another
Hmm.
animated series called Rebels, and they
Yes.
are the ones who basically you see all the characters in the soccer TV shows. So it's a very way that you have Ezra Bridger is there. The one you see in the show is grown up
Yep.
Ezra Bridger, but he's like from the young age, and he's a badass Jedi. As you saw, he has like wielding things, but he has something
Yeah.
wrong with him as well mentally now, that he doesn't want to wield the lightsaber,
Weapon or
which is,
whatever. Yeah. Right.
yeah. So it's a kind of interesting. That will be, we'll see what's happening in his head, but his
Hmm.
parents has died as well because of the empire,
Mm.
killing all, like taking over the whole land basically and just doing their own bidding. And that bad guy, Thrawn, I think his name
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
he is the scary because even like in the TV show Rebels I'm watching, I just caught up to him to basically they start to get to know him a little bit, and
Hmm.
he's scary. He's such a tactician. The way he plays is like, okay, yeah, I'll let you win now, but I know your weaknesses. So he's
Yeah.
basically
Right.
playing or like, like a cat catching the mouse. Basically,
Yeah.
I know where you are. I'm gonna know exactly what I want to do before I catch you, and play around with
I
you,
mean,
kind of thing.
I gotta say, he's not. Hey, 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 hey.
Oh,
I
your
gotta
cat.
say he's not super intense in the show.
Yeah.
With his little pop belly walking around. I always love the villains in Star Wars stuff. I think the
Yeah.
villains are always they always have the coolest looking shit. I like the stormtroopers that are all taped up.
I
I like
know.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's pretty great. And
And
those three witches are pretty awesome. And
yes, so I told you about the magical part, which I was not aware of. Like they will use that as well in the soccer, because that the magical part of Star Wars is very intriguing to me, because that
yeah,
they the powers, because they basically tap into the force, the witches. That's
yep,
how they read everybody. So you tap in the force, they know that you tapped in the force, and there you go. You
hmm,
basically all your cards are open on on the table. So it's
yeah,
very
right, right,
intriguing. But yeah,
yep,
that whale stuff, really intriguing. It's a bit like
yeah,
slow, like it's the same method of TV shows, how they build now in Disney seems to be, it's quite methodical. They're trying to tell a tale. It's extremely exciting to people basically who watch Clone Wars and Rebels, I think, because
hmm,
that
hmm,
it just gives you those snippets. Oh my god, look at it. We know we miss some people, and it's been quite a while since they
yeah.
finished those series anyway. So
I'd say the music is really damn good in it as well. It has a
oh,
nice mix of like this Japanese. There's heavy duty Japanese elements in this show, like
that's
with
it.
the
Okay.
suits and everything, and the music as well
Mm-hmm.
too. So there's this real kind of samurai, but it also there's some there in the last episode there was some mixture of like spaghetti western mixed with like kind of more traditional Japanese music. It was a really nice blend. There's a lot of like
Mm,
I'm loving the soundtrack in a lot of these shows, but this one is a standout for sure.
yeah.
It's really impressive. The music in these TV shows has even the shows that I haven't liked very much, the music has been pretty top notch, for soundtrack stuff.
And it's also nice to see that the Anakin situation. Apparently,
Yep.
according to like diehard Star Wars fans, a lot of things what Anakin was up to prior to being Darth Vader has like questioned like the idea how they wrote the story. And apparently, in this Ahsoka confrontation between two of them in that whatever after Force Life or whatever they were part of, while they're having conversation, they saying that they finally has put the gap to understand how this processes of Anakin was going through while
Hmm.
before he turned basically complete evil. He's
Right.
processed the way how he processed the war. Oh, we have to do it. That's our duty to protect. But then you
Mm,
go and kill everybody. So like he kind of like mentally is kind of making note of saying, okay, I'm right doing this because of somebody said to me it's okay to do so. So it's
hmm.
interesting, very, very
Yeah,
intriguing
yeah,
to see. And I like to see the actor back, to be honest. It's really
yeah,
good to see him back. And I think because
yeah.
apparently he didn't really have a really good thing after Star Wars finished as an
Oh,
actor.
okay.
Apparently, but I'm not sure. Maybe I'm just
Hmm.
speculating because I
Right,
have
right.
definitely have not seen him on the big screens at all, to be
Yeah,
honest.
yeah.
So yeah.
It's associated too associated with the show, maybe, or the movies rather.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I've watched anything else apart of that to be excited
No, me
about.
neither.
Yeah.
Just this morning though, I watched the kayfabe interview with Seth.
Oh, okay. I saw that one. I
I
didn't have
was up.
chance yet to do.
I woke up at like 7 this morning. I was up and
Oof.
awake, so I kind of tuned in as soon as they posted it. I started watching it. My wife watched it with me as well. Alicia watched it
Oh,
with
is it?
me, and she was
Uh-huh.
actually interested in it. She was kind of digging it. It's a really great conversation.
Uh-huh.
They talk a little bit about Joe Matt at the beginning, but then the rest is kind of Seth and about him starting. He talks about his time at Vortex Comics and doing the Mr. X series
Mhm.
as like his first published work and what that
Yeah.
experience was like. Like it was a really good talk. Of course, he's Seth, so he's dressed up in a suit and tie, and he's got all these leather-bound books behind him on these bookshelves. He's in like a proper library. So at
Oh.
one point near the end, Ed asked him, he's like, "Okay, I gotta ask, what are those books behind you?" And he's like, "Well, this whole shelf, this is all my work that I've done, all my sketchbooks and stuff." And he gets them bound. Once he's done a project,
Oh,
he gets them
wow.
leather bound, and they're fucking gorgeous. And then on the other shelf was like his comics. I don't know if
Yeah.
he didn't specify which comics. I think it's comics that he collects. He gets them bound in leather, but they look incredible. And it's like, man, I would love to flip through some of that. So he saves all of his work, which is great, all of his sketchbooks, and then just puts them in makes a really nice presentation out of them afterwards. So
Mhm.
well worth a watch if anybody's a fan, or even if you're not so much a fan of his. Like it's a good chat. It's only like, I think it's just over an hour. So I was
Yeah.
kind of wondering how it was going to go. Those
Mhm.
kind of two worlds,
Yeah.
Seth and his kind of being Seth, and then the
Yeah.
kayfabe guys being who they are. But it was a great conversation. They did a really nice job. So
Oh, that's
yeah,
good. So it wasn't like, sometimes awkward.
yeah,
It
no, it
becomes
wasn't at
awkward.
all. I mean,
Okay.
yeah, they're all cartoonists. They're all a little bit awkward at the best of times, but it was
Yeah.
honestly a pretty natural flowing conversation. And Seth seems like that kind of guy where he could talk to anybody. And I was talking to Colin before on Twitter. And
Mhm.
even when I met him for that short period of time, he was very easy to talk to. Like he was really, it just seemed really friendly and outgoing. Like it was pretty easy to start up a conversation with them. So
Uh,
he feels like that's just part of his personality. He just likes to chat to people, So yeah, it was well worth watching. Anybody who hasn't seen it yet.
I don't know whose Twitter. I think you're talking about X is.
Sorry, X. Yeah, X. Got to stand up and do the X. Degeneration X, or whatever the hell they are.
The
I
crazy
still
who.
call it Twitter.
Careful, if Musk is hearing you, you might not be
Yeah,
happy
yeah,
about
yeah.
you using the
Musk
word
is hearing
Twitter.
me. Fuck you,
Yeah.
Musk. I'm just kidding.
Careful, he's billionaire. You never know who's gonna shoot up from the picture.
Yeah, right.
He's gonna
Yeah,
block your internet. Apparently, that's
send
what
a
he can
Prius to
do.
get me.
Do you-
So shall we talk
oh,
comics?
so I finished the book, eh?
Hey, what?
Yeah.
You filled the book.
Yeah. So I was
Holy
like
shit.
shocked, eh? I was like wanted to do a what I've read, and I was like, what?
Yep.
Last page? Excuse me, what's going on here? So yeah, so I have not shown a few of them because I think the last time I showed you was when I was doing the Doc Savage reading, from that
Yes.
Kabut sale. I got those books. So
Yep.
this is the one I was. So this is the one, and but then I afterwards I did the Scarecrow one,
Yeah, nice.
leaping from the picture, but I didn't do the picture. The big there. I don't know about Inkto, but it's too much commitment. I don't like that.
I
Then
think people still do it though, Damien. I think it's still a thing for
oh
sure.
yeah, it's a big thing still. There's lots of people who I follow. Some of them do. One of the artists is gonna be do Ditko October kind of thing. So Ditko
Oh yeah.
based. So Doctor Strange is the first thing he's gonna do. So it's
Yep.
fantastic. Then by Olga Tokarczuk and Joanna Conchejo, The Lost Soul. I decided to use pencil graphite because there was pencil graphite in there. I was like, okay, let me dabble into this pencil graphite. I tried my best, not really. Shadowing is not my strong point in graphite, but
Hmm.
I try my best. About that guy who is basically lost the will to live in a way, and he's had in his house and waiting for it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Rick Rain. It's a good thing to do. Eh? Then,
Yeah,
of
yeah.
course,
Hello, Rick.
Turtles, part
Yep.
142. Then Uncanny X-Men, Rogue,
Oh, beauty.
tab. to do that because and then of course Noah
Very
went
Cliff
Skyber.
Chang look, that storm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Van
This
Sciver. Yeah,
yeah,
nice.
went Skyber about those two, the father and the son.
Yeah.
And then of course you have Daria Tesla and Solomon's Last Dance. You know about that crazy
Oh yeah, yeah,
magic
yeah.
dog.
Yep.
Who's basically, yeah. And then the last, well, that's why I started it. So I hope you read Sacrifices, the second
I
issue.
sure did. Yeah.
So I did this.
Yeah.
Oh,
Nice.
I really like that scene of this pigeon going completely screaming
Yeah.
instead of
Yeah.
saying
Yeah.
stop, and I had to put. So this was my last one. So I was like, okay, next
Wow.
one is like, oh, okay, this is end of this. So I don't really, I one draw on the cover. So basically, I didn't do anything. I didn't draw anything what I've read apart of
Right.
Sacrifice because I didn't have. I looked in my stack of stuff. I was like, definitely have another sketchbook, and I really liked the size of this, but I couldn't find it.
Yep.
So I decided to go a little bit bigger now.
Ah.
I'm gonna
Okay.
go. This is like very much like a mouse guard type of, like, I don't know why, to the page size. It's very square. It's still a
Hmm.
sketchbook. It's quite a big one. But I'm
Hmm.
surprised. So basically since we started doing this, 75 drawings I did.
Yeah. Pretty
So my
impressive.
Inktober is done for and finished.
Yeah. You did like
If I
2.5 months.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, so it's crazy how I start. So I started it in January 14th with this first picture. And of
Oh
course,
right.
because summertime has this one is Can Opener's daughter, which I absolutely love the story of.
Uh huh.
About the can opener was his dad, her dad, so
Yeah. Yep.
so this is the first drawing I did in January 14th. And then it's like, because I had gaps in summertime, I haven't been drawing, yes, but this is
Oh yeah. Yeah.
the stuff I was doing. And then,
It's so
like,
great. So have you sat and kind of leafed through the whole thing now? And
yeah, and it's interesting to see, like, the one of my favorite stuff, like Jaime Hernandez. And I actually should, like, I'm probably gonna do maybe a small video of the things what I've read, and like
that's a great
maybe
idea.
at the end of the year would be better. Do you think? I mean, we, like, would be nice. Tintin, like one of the Adventures of Tintin I was drawing, and
Mhm.
and the turtles, which is going to be quite prominent talking today, and like all that's Counterfeit Girl by Peter Milligan, which I really like the
Mhm.
storyline, and it's such a good way to remind myself what I've read, because
Yeah,
I'm going
absolutely.
the art style of the, like, I'm trying to completely copy the art style of the people I have been reading to. So it's
Mhm.
really fantastic to just I flip and straight away I remember the story. Like, come on, man, who can forget this story? The
Volva
Vulva
Viking.
Viking. People,
Yeah.
if you haven't read Vulva Viking, you better should, because if you want to get your mood go up, this is the story for you to go for.
Yeah, yeah.
And the Joker from the Batman Audio Adventures. Oh no, it's
Mm.
Batman the Last Night on Earth, apparently. A
Oh,
Capullo
okay.
story. That's when the Joker in the bowl story. And then Amy De Jong story, which was fantastic, really kind of Days of Sands. Another story highly recommended
Oh, right. Yeah,
by
yeah,
me
yeah.
to read, people, if you can find it in library. It's really heartfelt story of that great sandstorm, which basically ruined people's life. And of course, never forget of Usagi Jimbo,
Mhm.
and stuff. It's just great, a lot of great
Yeah.
things I've read, to be honest. And I was like, oh, and was not what I read, but I always go for Darwin Cook's style of drawing,
Oh,
so
yeah.
just to test it out. So it wasn't great. It's just a sketch kind of thing, but
Yeah.
but yeah, so it's kind of very great to see this, flipping through, like, wow, how did I finish this? Like, it used to be
Yeah, yeah.
quite a chore to go through. It's like shitloads of pages, to be honest.
It's
But
awesome.
it wasn't done, like, as I say, I was doing it like just for shits and giggles.
Yeah,
But
right.
it's really cool. I actually like looking forward doing that, because
Yeah.
it's a great reminder of what you're reading, and it's so
I like
much
it as
more
well.
kept.
I'm almost done my book as well. I'm pretty
Oh
close. I'm
wow.
like 444 books out of the 500. But same thing, like, even, I'm not doing drawings or anything, but it's pretty great to go
Come
through
on, show your
again and
drawings.
just no, there's no drawings, just text.
Yeah,
But
I know.
it's cool, like you said, it's really cool to go through and see kind of what
Yeah,
you've read and just reminding yourself
yeah,
about
fantastic.
about things that you've
Yeah,
read during the year. I mean, it was fun doing it online, but
Mhm.
honestly, I love this even more. And then I've
Yeah.
got my
Oh,
fun girl
nice.
sticker on the front too. So
Awesome.
yeah, with her strapped on there, ready to go.
I was fortunate enough for you to send me some, so I'm gonna definitely cover
Nice.
this with some stuff. Yeah.
What's going
Yeah.
on here? There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. And the only one I have to finish off is the one from last year because I was going to my Twitter and I
Yeah.
was putting them into a book as well too to save them. Hello, Lord Tatman. Hello, off my shelves. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank
So
you.
I think it's a great thing. I'm gonna try to do it again next year. I mean,
Hmm.
I'm not gonna. I don't think I want to give up on it. I think it's fun. It's just kind of fun to write them down. I am noticing near the end now though, there's
Hmm.
quite a few books that have stacked up that I haven't put in the book yet.
Oh, wow.
Whereas before I was kind of like reading and putting it in the book like really
Hmm.
regimented, but now it's kind of like I'm just reading and then I put them in a pile and I
Yeah.
got to remember to put them in the book. And yeah, it's pretty cool. It's fun.
For me, it also happens the same thing, like I read
Yeah.
and sometimes I don't have enough time for you just, like while I read it, I just gonna show it to you what my part, like my take on this art. But
Yep.
but I go back, which is a good stuff because that means that I'm keen because it gives me that flow of like, I want to do this. And then the minute that they say a great thing about artists and they things where or people who like to draw is the time when you take a pen and put it to paper. It's it. Your brain says, "Okay, that's it. I can do this now." But to get to
Mhm.
that point, when you take the pen and actually
Yeah.
open your
Right.
sketchbook, is kind of chore sometimes because
Right.
it's just like, oh, you get distracted by your own things, life and generally. So yeah, I
Hmm.
think this is really gave me into habit because it's a reward at the end of the day. Like I say, I
Hmm.
can actually tell you what I've read and I tell you the story behind it beforehand. I read a lot of stuff in the year, and it's so difficult to actually
It all
think
just
of the
goes
back of my
away.
head. Yeah,
Yep.
because you store your stuff away most of the
Yep.
time. I don't know if I don't try to pile a lot of stuff like I do have here, which you
Hmm.
can't see. But I have a stack of piles where I could just put it away, but I don't do that throughout the year. Imagine I would
Hmm.
be living behind the comic books. So I
Hmm.
have this is a great way to basically keep it in mental notes, and it
Yep.
seems to be that's how it works for me.
Yeah,
So
this year I've put a short box here beside me,
uh-huh.
and
Yeah,
most of the stuff that I've read this year I put in that short box.
yeah,
It's well full right now, so I don't know what I'm going to do for the rest of the books, but
yeah,
I've been trying to do that, like stuff that's new. If it's stuff that's like Firefly and Serenity, I put it in the drawers in the cabinets. There's no point in having that stuff there, but stuff
yeah.
that's kind of new to me this year, I've been kind of putting them aside to again at the end of the year I'll go through them and I can see them again, and
Mhm.
put the video together for the best of the year or whatever, or my favorite reads of the year anyway. So yeah.
Mhm. So I mentioned this. We can start
Yep.
talking about this if you want.
Sure.
So this is the issue.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you straight away. This issue basically assured me that I'm gonna go full in.
Yeah.
I am definitely in for this because
It's funny you say that because I feel the exact same way. I enjoyed the first issue, nothing
yeah,
wrong with it. But
yeah,
once I
but
read this one, then I was
yeah,
like, oh yeah, I'm sticking with this.
yeah,
This is
yeah.
good.
It's the art style is from best to bestest. I don't know how Max can do this, but this is well impressive. Of course, he
Yep.
has great colorists. I really like this orca devoted
Yeah.
people who
Yes.
completely obsessed about the religions parts.
Very religious. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're like completely like, no, whatever, we're gonna be sacrificed to this. And the basically premise of this issue in particularly this, they get those sacrifices them, and they were walking towards their demise. Supposedly that's what kind of like you think is going to happen. They will be
Yep.
sacrificed because the book is called Sacrifices. And
Yep.
what I really enjoyed about the way Rick Remender wrote the story about the human part, like those humans were captured as well, and they
Yep.
are the low lives, like really like were upbringed and like somewhere like made even those, as I said, those orcas who's like completely devoted. They've been like
Yeah.
kind of bred to believe in everything, and you have these
Absolutely.
humans
And
who
it's
are
like a
like
big
basic,
honor to be
yeah,
chosen. Yeah. Yeah.
and they are like, oh yeah, you we are not seeing what you're seeing. We always had to scramble for food, or fight for everything for survival, and suddenly
Hmm.
because of we're fighting, but they still get sacrificed. And no matter which race apparently you pick, as so far in these two issues, somebody will be sacrificed. To whom
Yep.
and how, That's a story maybe we shouldn't spoil because it's a quite a good thing. But this kind of panels picking is a fantastic, like color choosing, the blues and the
Totally.
reds, the like they walking and they nobody knows what's happening, and that's the good tension in the book as well, which I really liked it. Like everybody's asking, so where are we going? Why are we doing this? And nobody's answering them at all.
Well, and I
And
mean, they're getting ready to die. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
they're
yeah,
trying to come to terms with it. And I also think that he did good with like laying this out in just 2 issues, because
yeah.
anybody else, they could have easily dragged this out for
Oof.
longer. I think 2 issues, he's got a real thing for pacing. I
Yeah,
feel in my
yeah,
limited, you read a lot
yeah,
more of his stuff than I have, but
yeah.
I really feel like he's got a good sense of pacing for his storytelling.
I think it does. You do realize. I think the experience shows with recommended writing that you have
Mhm.
to capture somebody very quickly. Not maybe in issue one. That's really difficult to do. So, but for some people it works. For some people didn't. For me, the issue one didn't give me that much excitement as this one because the
That's
characters
right.
he
Yeah.
chose to be sacrificed and the way they were walking this path and the tension I felt was like, okay, I'm intrigued.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, and he's completely, yeah, I agree with that. He's good, as I say, he knows how to deal with it because I think at the end of the day he wants to book to survive, and
Yep.
another strength of recommenders always has been with his books is he's picking the right people to work with. And I
Hmm.
absolutely love the work that Max Firama is doing in here. I think it's
Yeah.
just
So do
gonna
I.
go from strength. So yeah, really cool. I absolutely
Yep.
loved it. The communication,
Yeah. So did
the
I.
reveal. So yeah, definitely staying for I think long time because of the way Rick Remenders keep on saying in the back of the some of letters you say. It's a long one. He's not thinking it's
Long
gonna
haul.
end quickly because
Hmm.
he wants the this is the story he says that he wants to do the way he wants, like the David Lynch part of it. You have to take into your brain cells to work the story how you think is going to go through, which is
Yep.
exciting, I think, and frustrating in some because some people just likes to be told, like, you read, you get revealed of the snippets and information. Sometimes you just don't pick up on everything,
Hmm.
but I really like the back of the pages, and I think that really helps for me as well because
Yeah. Yeah.
those
Yeah. His
talk
write ups and
those
yeah.
letters, there's just conversations we keep on talking, and the way he's kind of vaguely replies to them, it kind of works for me as well. So yep, very
Hmm.
cool. Definitely staying on my pull list.
I mean, the third one, I'm looking forward to seeing, the third one. I need to read that. I'm currently rereading all the Grendel stories. Awesome, Lord Tatman. I
Oh,
actually found some Grendel books this afternoon for a buck a piece that I'm excited to get into as well.
cool.
A character I
Nice.
don't know tons about, just a little bit, but I'm curious to read more.
Hmm. Great with the
Yeah,
black
no,
and white.
I'm digging it though. I'm with you. Like I'm glad that I checked it out. I'm glad that, I'm kind of there from the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on my pull list. I'm not I'm sticking with it for sure.
Well, it's fair. I always go, like, okay, the second issue drags me in. That means I'm intrigued because the way I read this one was like, okay, pages went. I was just like, okay, I'm excited. What's going to happen next? Why are we doing this? And then the reveal, which we're not spoiling for people. So you guys,
Yeah, right.
the reveal at the end is kind of intriguing because it can go both ways. You can paint really good picture, but so yeah,
Love Grendel Prime more than any of the Grendel. Okay, cool.
yeah. There's for
Um,
both.
speaking of this, did you get into your Kaya that you
Oh
picked up?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So my next reading. So
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, no, go for it now. Yeah, I think they, goes well. We can talk about those.
yeah.
So I'm really
So
curious to hear what you thought.
so the so I picked up Kaya
Yeah.
first 2 issues, and somehow on mental break I guess I decided not to somehow, or forgot about it, and my comic book I decided not to add this because he kind of waits for me to say what I want, because that's kind of
Yep.
in a way gives me lots of freedom. I can just cut the pull list. He won't give me shit for that, like that kind of stuff.
Yep.
So I went on eBay and I told you the 2 weeks ago I saw this on eBay, and
Mm-hmm.
the guy reduced the price.
Whoops.
Okay, on eBay. Give me a
Sorry.
sec.
Yeah, wrong
Yeah,
button.
it's okay. Don't worry. So he reduced the price for this eight first issue. So I paid £1.20 per issue.
Oh, sweet.
I'm talking with delivery as well. So that
Yeah.
that
Oh
that,
man,
that came. So that
that's even
was,
better.
yeah. So the first 8 issues, and honestly, I was thinking, okay, I can do issue two because I kind of know the storyline. But I went from issue one onwards to eight, so I read all 8 issues straight away.
Yeah,
Because
nice.
and I must say thank you for kind of saying what the hell happened to you, Kaya, kind of thing, or reminding me to read Kai, because it's fantastic. It's so
Yeah,
good.
it's
it's
so
it's
good.
it's the fantastic world once again, the fantasy world,
Yeah.
which I really enjoy. And it seems to be Wes Craig's writing is going from strength to strength, it seems to be, because the first two issues that maybe didn't do that much for me, maybe that's what the
Yeah.
mental break was. But
Me as well. Yeah.
from issue 3, it's just where like, okay, I'm intrigued, I want to know more. And especially the part with them two. So they siblings, but they have different dads. Okay, so I didn't know that from the beginning. And
Mhm.
what you were saying about that issue, what, 6, isn't it? Is
I think
the
it's issue 6. Yeah.
Yeah. So
The one
this
where
is
we
the
get the
issue.
backstory of her arm. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is, you get this is
Such a good issue.
no, and this is so good to do that. I think it's really clever of Wes Craig, but to make sure that we get keep like us attention, and then like giving you extras because you're picking up floppies. I think it's really good, because at the end of the day, like, he thinks that what keeps his books on shelves, and that's what keeps them coming, like printing,
Mhm.
like, because people who's deciding to get books on floppies, not in the collected editions. So if he's gonna actually do it without this information, it's cool. A lot of people will miss out for a lot of information. So,
Mhm.
and my basic thing, so okay, we're following these two kids. She has this wonderful hand. I tell you one thing what I've noticed afterwards, that he has lots of kind of like the hand is looks like Hellboy to me, like he's a
Uh,
fan of Hellboy. Then there's this villain robot species who appears in issue what, 7, I think. And he's like looks like more like a Galactus, or like sort of
mhm.
styling of Galactus. That's how I felt. Okay, let me show you some art for people. So this is issue 3. I
Oh
got
man, nice covers.
with Spawn. So okay,
Spawn
cool.
cover. Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
it's a fantastic looking one.
yeah.
So and it's very, you know, Jason Wardy
Beautiful.
colors is so good to pop.
So good.
So good to pop. Yeah. So I'm gonna ask my comic book guy. Hopefully he has the next 2 issues for me to read, because the issue 8 was on kind of a cliffhanger, and I was like, I need to know. So
Mhm.
basically they're wandering the land, because they place where they were brought up completely got destroyed, and they wandering land, and it's all these creatures comes to meet. And this brother, who's supposed to be the golden one, isn't it? That's
Right.
how
Yeah.
yeah, he's the one who's like really wants to believe in magic. He thinks that, there was a situation where his sister got in trouble and she got hurt. He went to this to meditate a little bit, and this great hand touched his forehead, and he thought, okay, she's she's safe now because I wished for it. So he's a very naive 8-year-old boy who has been basically helped by his sister to be escaping from the people who basically wants to capture. And he
Mhm.
gets captured, unfortunately, in some issues prior. But honestly, the story is just flowing from strength to strength. I really
Yeah.
like the dynamic where they have to get into this group to get those spiders. Oh my god, those spiders were like, "Eek!" It's like disgusting for me, because it's double hits as well. So this is
Mhm.
the spider bad guys they were attacking, absolutely. And
Very
honestly,
bone-ish kind of looking. Hey, like especially
yeah,
that panel.
exactly. And honestly, Wes Craig, I mean, the man can do everything, I guess.
It's goddamn
He's
good. Yeah.
and as I say, the strength of these colors is popping the page so well, and the
Yeah.
action scenes are flowy. It's not staggered. It doesn't get confused from the page to page. I really like the blacks he's using in the dark
Mhm.
areas, but still emotions portrayals from the characters is up. Honestly, so as I say, I'm so lucky that you first tell me, and I basically lucked out on getting this on eBay for the price of nothing, really.
Mhm.
So I'm definitely gonna catch up to get those 2 more issues. And the
Yep.
last issue, where is the 8th one? Yeah, this is the cover I got. That's the
Yeah. Yeah. Me
Lotte
as well.
variant, isn't it? Tula, I think is the name. Yeah,
Tula Lute, I think you're right. Yeah.
yeah, Tula Lotte. So that's her variant. So this is the guy I was talking about. Where is this? Where is the full picture? Blah, 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 blah. Oh, come on. This is such a good, great scenes. I'm sorry. I'm looking for the Galactus type of that villain. Oh, he's not. Maybe he's in 7 more prominent. Oh, here you go. This
Yeah,
is the
yeah,
bad, a bit of a spoiler, but this is the bad guy. So don't you think
yeah,
is a Galactus type
yeah. I
of
can
the,
see that for sure.
because
Yep.
there's okay one
Mixed with
eye.
Eternity and Doctor Strange, and very
Yeah, yeah,
Marvelish kind of looking.
exactly. So he has definitely has been looking at the pointers. But yeah, uh, absolutely a fantastic tale. There's lots of actions, a lot, and you kind of that explanation part issue he was having, that issue about the hand,
Yep.
really opened up the care of I have for the Kaya now more than the
Yep.
brother is kind of crybaby, but he's an 8-year old kid who doesn't know
Yeah.
any better, because
Yeah.
he was taught to be kind of believing magic and stuff like by their own mother, and how she became to have the hand, this fantastic little tale he was doing. So people, if you can, highly recommend to get hold of Kaya, and if you can do it in floppies, that would be even better for Wes Craig's, because then he can continue doing this. And I'm definitely this is definitely gonna go back in my pull list now. So I'm gonna
Mhm.
nag my comic book guys like, do you have 8, 9, 10 issues for me, please? Because that will
Um,
tell all the storyline, isn't it? For
just
the
for
second,
Tatman, if you are gonna wait for the collected edition,
yeah,
you might want to, like I was saying to Rasa last week, I don't
yeah,
remember if you were here or not, pick up issue
yeah,
number 6, because that one he says won't be collected when they
yeah,
do collections of it. That one
yeah,
is for floppy buyers only, and he's going to
yeah,
do that once per arc. So I
yeah,
imagine the next one will be issue 12,
yeah,
but we'll find out. But so if you pick up any issues, try to pick up those single issues. And then if you wait for the library edition, then you'll
yeah.
have everything else. Then you'll have the whole thing.
Where's my
I
issue?
mean, I'm sure artists and creators say all sorts of stuff throughout the time, and
Yeah,
maybe they'll decide to include it anyway. But I hope he kind of sticks with that, because I do
yeah,
feel like that's a nice incentive. And it
yeah,
was that issue where, like, I was enjoying it. It was getting better in
yeah,
that first arc, but
yeah,
once I hit that issue, that's where it really stuck for me. And then I
yeah,
really, it just turned, because it's just such a solid issue.
yeah.
Such a great little bit of backstory, such great art, and like you said, the coloring is unbelievable.
A bit of a
Donna
spoiler.
Rex, good work. Good luck on picking them up in a dollar box. Hello, Jackio.
Yeah. And then another good part of this issue, extra issue he's putting out, is that he's going to invite
Mhm.
some other artists to come and do some like short stories.
Yep.
So he had, I don't forgot the name of this guy who's doing the la, 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 where are your name? I don't know, where is this? Oh, Al
Inbold.
Gofa. Al
Yep.
Gofa is doing this extras. So yeah, it's really good. So as also you can kind of find out a little bit, and then it's gonna basically issue, maybe it's not in the arc, but it's gonna give you an idea of what the characters are in Kaya as well. But this is a really good art as well. By the way, Algofa is killing. I really like the
Hmm.
musculature on this guy, man.
So
Jesus.
good.
Yeah, so yeah, it's really cool.
I
But
hear you
there's
there on that one, Tatman. But
yeah,
honestly, with this book, because of his layout, the text is actually pretty good. Because I'm with you. There's some books, especially digging into some of these 80s books,
yeah.
where some of these have so much text and it's so dense, it does get a little difficult. But
Mm.
this one is laid out really nicely, where it's actually not too difficult to read in the floppy format. The lettering is a little bigger.
Mm-hmm. And also, yeah, it's kind of like it is text to go for, but it's very. I mean, the lettering they chose,
Just
Chris.
beautiful, man.
Yeah, it's just beautiful. It's very imaginative
Yeah.
world. It's the shadowing is, and you know that bird who was following them, who was working for
Hmm.
the Atrian, isn't it Atrians? Those bad guys' names. But anyway, he has this one eye as well, but
Huh.
it's just so like good scene. But then you have the shadow area because they on the background, so it's really well picked. Basically, his skills as an artist improved extra. I mean, he's already was a great artist, but anyway, it's really cool. And this is like looks very much Mobius kind of cover
Hmm.
portrayal in this issue.
Yeah, is that a Brandon Graham one or something? Let's see that cover.
Let me see. I'm gonna check on the page next. Maybe it's gonna say
Feels like
Kota.
it's a Brandon Graham.
It doesn't have. It's like using every piece of paper now. He's even using. Oh wait. It doesn't say who is. Wait.
What issue number is that?
That's issue 4.
4.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you can
Might
check in
say in
CLZ.
CL. Yeah, it might say in
Yeah.
CLZ.
Yeah.
Issue 4. I don't know. It's credited to a Wes Craig variant, but
Oh,
that
good.
building is very Brandon Graham.
Oh, is it? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I
Cool.
mean that's what it reminds me of anyway. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's credited to Wes Craig on CLZ.
Yeah. So yeah, guys, if you're gonna go trade paperweight, like weights for trades, so you definitely should just pick up the extras issue because then it's lots of information. I mean, it's such a
Hmm.
wonderful way to understand the power. Not really, it doesn't give you a power, but how she became with her hands, and it's the whole mysterious part and that magical part of it, which really kind of intrigues me even more because it's not only the the superheroes going from one direction to the one to the monk the island or saving point of both of them, but it's also there's this element of the background of the magic and how much magic is involved. And even when he was meditating, is it true that he healed her, or was this
Hmm.
just a hoax? Because Kaya doesn't believe in magic because of what
Yeah, right.
happened to her, and you will understand completely why she's kind of not really happy about it,
Skeptical.
about
Yeah,
magic in
right.
generally, because she lost something really, as a kid you wouldn't want to do. So I lucked out on
No,
that. Absolutely lucked out on this,
yeah,
as I
no,
say.
that's a good score, especially for that price.
And especially online, like shops, I understand you can bins, but like as I say, shops doesn't really exist in here. Oh, actually,
Yeah.
I found a new one of the shops which is about 45 minutes of a drive from here. We don't tend to
Okay.
go there, but the price. So the guys decides. So comic book shop looks fantastic. They have extremely big amount of overstock, but what they decided to do is no matter where you put the bins or what, they don't put prices on, and that's a turn off
Oh,
for me straight, because go
yeah,
to the till and you
no
find
problem.
out how much you have to pay, really.
Nope. Yeah,
So I was like,
yeah, that's such horse shit.
yeah, so I went to pick up something. I picked from the boxes which is not stored really well. They comic books are stacked on each other, so some of them kind of like bend. He wants still to charge me full price for it. It's like, hey, nope. No,
Yeah,
sorry, it's not brand new, dude. So why you want to charge me? But then I just left. So those
that
kind of
was that
comic
was
book
one of
shop.
the things that took down our shop Comics America here in
Yeah,
town.
yeah,
He did that all the time with the back issues. They would have prices on it, but he had this big sign at the till. Prices will change. You know what I mean? Like it's like, yeah, and I don't want to shop here because fuck you. That's horse shit. That's total horse shit.
yeah. It's
I know that it's not easy to keep up on pricing back issues. I get it, especially with like the mainstream stuff because some of that prices they change on a daily basis. But
yeah,
that's kind of on you as a shop owner. I feel
yeah.
to kind of try to keep up with that stuff the best you can.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
These guys are talking War Child. I just found some issues of War Child,
oh, oh,
Grendel today as well. 2, 3 issues. I think I'm one issue away from getting all 10.
oh
But
wow,
yes, the Bisley or the covers here, I'm assuming they're all Bisley,
yeah. It
are
looks like it.
really fantastic. They're really great. So yeah, I'm looking forward to reading this one. I don't remember what issue it is I'm missing. Maybe like number 6 or something. Anyway, I think I'm only missing one issue now. So looking
Cool.
forward to digging into that.
He proves.
He proves yes, excellent. Um, so for my first one here,
Uh-huh.
gonna start strong.
Oh.
I do have number 1, Tatman. Yes, I do.
Mm.
Um, so Ram V and Felipe Andrade,
Mm-hmm.
Paulo, if you're here, are back with another book. So this is the duo that did The Many Deaths of Layla Starr, and this is
Oh.
one called Rare Flavors. So this is
Uh-huh.
issue number 1 of it. Man, oh man, I hope these guys keep working together. It
Mm-hmm.
is a hell of a first issue. His
Mm-hmm.
art is fucking gorgeous, and again, gotta give credit to the colorist as well too. Is it him doing illustrated? Yeah, I mean it just has his name, so he's doing all of it, I assume. Yeah, nobody else is listed for coloring, so an amazing little story, a lot of mystery. It seems to be some gods and demons and not it hasn't it been explicitly said who this character is. We don't know if he's the demon, if there's someone else that's kind of this human personification of this evil entity. But there's something going on. There's a couple of guys that are investigating these deaths around town as well too. And we're kind of being led to believe that these people are dying and they're being eaten. So our main character, this big man here, is approaching this kid to do a documentary on his life, as being kind of
Oh.
this foodie, this restaurateur,
Mhm.
because he saw this film that apparently he made when he was a kid, which really pisses off the guy. He's like, how did you do that? You're invading into my life. It feels very Andrade. The E isn't silent, but it's mute. Andrade. Okay. I hope I've said that correctly, Paulo. Um, but honestly, like this duo, one of my favorite duos currently. This is like Layla Starr was last year. I think if this kind of keeps going the way I think it might be going, I think this is going to be one of my favorite reads this year. So
Oh.
they've done this first issue, and when I was at 204 today, I saw they had their, I guess this is the ash can is what it's listed as on CLZ, and it's the tasting menu. So with
Oh.
Layla Starr, they redid issue number 1 where it was just his inks. So they've
Mhm.
done it with this one as well too, where it's just the inks. It's thinner, so I don't think there's as many. There's a couple of ads in the back, but not as many, and it also doesn't give you the entire story in this format.
Mhm.
I haven't read this whole thing yet because at the back, after this, the first course will be served September 2023. We get some character studies and designs and things,
Mhm.
which is beautiful. So I'm so in love with his art. I think it fits the world that Ram V is
Oh.
writing in this one and in the previous one as well. But I mean, look at those sketches, those character sketches. So I'm very, very excited about this one. I didn't actually know it was coming. This 204 Comics, they do really good. A couple of the comic shops in town do really good with kind of posting the new releases.
Mhm.
And this was shown on the shelf in one of those photos.
Mhm.
So I had no idea this was out or coming. Close
Is
enough
it?
on the pronunciation. Thank you very much, Paulo, for taking pity on me. So it's good that they posted the picture. So immediately it went on my pull list.
Yeah.
But I would. This is a strong recommendation for me for sure. And then that's the end. And then they just have these 2 ads at the end. So if you haven't read Layla Starr, it's really great. It's collected now as well too, I guess. Yeah,
Mhm.
hardcover and soft cover. So well worth checking out and trying to jump on this Rare Flavors.
Mhm.
I think is the way to go. It's Boom Studios, beautifully produced. Like, yeah, it's amazing. I love it.
I, I'm telling you, Terence, you're trying to beef up my pull list. It seems to be keep on
I am.
showing all the stars.
Yeah.
I chop one, I go back. Okay, I'll go back. Okay, I'll stay with this now.
I mean, honestly, like we were talking, or Jared sometimes talks about on Friday. I just feel like there's so many good
Uh-huh.
books out from the independents, there's so much
Mm.
good stuff, and it feels like there's a few more creators that are getting in there that I don't know, I'm just really drawn to, and it feels like there's more kind of European influence in some of these indie publications, as well
Mhm.
as just full on European artists contributing and things. It's really exciting to me that that's starting to blend, that we're starting to get these people from different backgrounds and cultures kind of contributing to kind of the North American market.
Yeah.
It's the
Yeah.
stuff I'm drawn to anyway. So it's great to have something, from like a Boom Studios that's way easier for me to kind of access, or even the stuff that's coming from a Blaze, the Animal Castle and stuff. It's great to have that easy to get my hands on,
Mm.
instead of having to read a book like, which I'll talk about later, like this Long John Silver, and
Mhm.
then go, well, that was fantastic. Where the hell am I going to get more of them? And it's so difficult to get this kind of stuff. Even going straight
Oof.
through Cinebook, it ain't cheap to get this stuff brought to me.
Ter-
So
Terence, highlight the Paulas getting ready for Amadora comics.
festival at the end of the month. Lord, we even have a Layla Star art exhibit. Oh wow, that's amazing, amazing, Paulo.
Yeah, that's cool to see. I bet it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't read that many things, to be honest. I can
Okay.
see clearly. I already gave you 2 stuff like But then the kid. Oh, I just before we start, I haven't read this one, but Are you gonna dwell in this, or you think it's
I'm not with Usagi stuff. I think I want to stick to the big collections, but
okay?
I haven't picked it up. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna go big though.
Okay, because this is not well, it's one of another like basically the first issue, which is coming back to Dark Horse. So
Yep.
Sakai is going back to Dark Horse, the publisher he kind of like he had the longest run of Usagi Yojimbo with, but this is starting with the Ice and Snow part 1 of 5, and even 270th issue, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, it's this is another thing. It's like $5 a pop, which isn't great. But and there's another one which is I mean, this is like 5 issues story. And the one he's keep on advertising the Usagi in space. I'm wondering is going to be an ongoing. But I need to have Usagi on my pull, so I'm gonna just continue having that because I don't have the biggest one. But always entertaining, and I haven't read it yet. I'm surprised I have not, but I know why I wasn't reading that because I show it you next thing. That was the gem of the things. But the
Oh,
stories continues from the last 5 issue run he had, because they wandering again in the snow hills with his cousin, and they really cold. They're looking for a place to stay. This is as far as I went, but it looks
mhm.
entertaining because I spoil a little bit myself. Right at the end page looks extremely exciting to see what Stan Sakai is going to do. I really don't really like that the price increase is going to be this much. Hopefully just in issue 1, because if it's going to continue like that, I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep it up with
Yep.
single issues. Anyway,
Yeah. Right.
so to my surprise, it seems to be I have a smell for the stuff. Um, so I went out to my usual charity shops, which I
Yeah.
go through quite often, just because I'm looking for toys for my son, because that's is even cheaper to get because he trashed them, so it's easier to get something that he can play with, so I don't feel precious about it. And then, to my surprise, I found a couple of graphic novels of
Just a couple.
just couple because
No big deal.
and the place I'm talking about usually is oh. Lord Batman, sorry, I got distracted by his comment. Yes, you're missing out. By the way, if you
Yeah,
want to,
you should give it a try for
yeah,
sure.
if you want fun entertainment, Ninja Rabbit. So it's extremely well told storylines. So anyway, so I got these graphic novels and I looked it back because that place usually quite hikes up the prices for anything. They usually put like ridiculous prices. So I was surprised to see a £2 a graphic novel.
Two. Oh,
Two, I'm
fucking
talking about
kills me,
these.
man. Unbelievable.
So original from a 90s publication, Penguin House in England.
Hmm.
First comics is it published
First,
your
that's
publisher?
correct. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
in across the pond. So £2 this.
Fucking
Uh,
hell, dude.
£2. That's what I can prove it. I didn't take a sticker off.
Yeah, yeah.
There you go. See,
And you got
two,
to keep
two,
that
two, two
sticker on
pounds.
forever.
Two. You don't see this stuff like. Honestly, it's like a luck. I've never. And number 3, and I don't know.
Man,
Are they only produced 4 of them? Yes.
I think there was only 4. Don't quote me on that. I think there was though.
So I don't own the original run of Turtles, as a biggest fan I am. So this is a gem of and a half. And I saw them, I kind of
That's a
giggled and
that's the find of the century, Rasa. Like when you sent me that text, I yelled out loud and then I texted you with exclamation marks. Like it's a hell of a find for like,
yeah,
$4 a pop, $4 Canadian a pop.
yeah,
It's unbelievable, man.
yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. It's so I know that's the thing. I knew something because the searchless never see anything around like in this parts, but this is amazing to be honest. It's like I am so pleased as like okay, comic gods finally smile upon me kind of thing. Like I can get something really what I really wanted, to be honest. I wanted to have original. Of course, I would have loved to have it in the original comic format, but
Hmm.
the size of his books is so
Yeah.
awesome because right much bigger than your comic book. Yes.
Yep.
And it feels so good to have. Oh, but especially it's printed in 90s,
Yep.
so it's like just after the Turtles came out. So 86, they decided to publish the Turtles in this, in the comic format. They blew up like out of proportion, and they had this published in 90s as a collected editions. And there's an introduction by a friend called Stanley Wyatt from Massachusetts, and he has a great words to say about these two guys who
Mm.
basically had paved the way for themselves to a place where they kind of were a bit like huge fans and became a superstars. And then they were saying, he was writing down about them, how they were going to conventions, and then people are going to see them in conventions, and how that as a dream for an artist or a fan of comic books was. So it's really good forward in this one.
Hmm.
And of course, you have the beginning, and it's so crazy to see, because turtles doesn't have their own colors. They only you distinguish them by their own like weapons of choice,
Hmm.
and then you can't distinguish them from each other because you wouldn't say, and you don't even have an emblem. They have the belt. Now they have a belt with
Oh,
the first letter of the name.
right.
In this one,
Now it's
they
just the
never have.
sash or whatever. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Look at that stuff. So great.
yeah. Oh, the look off my shelf says majority of Space Usagi is printed in original lemon just in color. Huh. Oh, interesting. Is he going back? I didn't know that. Well, anyway, so I read this first thing, and of course, I absolutely loved turning
Yeah,
page by page, and I started to
awesome.
appreciate even more of the art. I think maybe I was like, there's the I used to I have a difficulty with proportions if it's not laid really well for me. So he's
Yep.
not he's in strength. His strength isn't in facial proportions. Okay, the
Yeah,
prime
totally.
examples. His eyes are on our human faces are blown to a like when your head is about to explode. But what the it's what amazes me a lot about this. So this is the first issue where you get introduced to your backstory about Sakai's and Orakisaki, and then that he was a pet rat who was copying his. This is the original story of the turtles, how they came to be. But then, what my surprising issue, and this extremely popular pose,
Yeah,
which is absolute,
iconic,
and he used them
unbelievable.
in several times. It seems to be,
Yeah.
but the strength is the shredders. This pose is amazing.
Hmm.
So like as an artist skilled. So I mean, you can definitely see that he loved Frank. Frank what?
Miller.
Yes, the Miller, exactly. So he was a big fan of him, and you can see in the layouts and the shadowing using these turtles are fantastically drawn. Everything's and then he also, if you follow his interviews and stuff, he's mentioning a lot about he's not a fan of cars to draw, but the scenes in
Yeah.
the chase scene in this with the van, where like in that time when he was drawing, they were saying that they didn't have Google for references, but scenes he has in here were fantastic. All the cars look like the cars from the era, like
Yep.
what you imagine would be. And he was getting stronger and stronger, so the guy improved so quickly, to be honest. Which is
Hmm.
amazing in saying that. So honestly, it was a gem of read once again. I like this situation with the turtles, how they like kind of thought they lost the Splinter, because this is a cliffhanger of a volume one. Splinter disappeared because of mouses attacked their lair, because of the Baxter was hiding them underneath. He was by kind of robbing the banks. I guess people know the story of turtles. If you don't, get hold of those reprints. Another beauty of this find, that I'll get the stuff which is like this, which I have not read, is Dave
Hmm.
Sim work, which they
Yep.
if you they now came out with a beautiful edition of compl- compilations of all the work of the turtles in these nice hardcovers, but they don't have Dave Sim because they don't have the rights to it apparently, or to reprint. So it's not included. And also, this what was my really surprising to me about this turtle book, the extras. Did you have the extras in the second? I don't know. I have not read
Let
yet,
me just check.
because this one,
I only have book 2 and 3 in those
yeah.
collected. I have book 1.
So in the book one, they had this extra about New Comic Book Day. How Leonardo kind of feel like he picks up this comic book from the comic shop, sits down on the sofa, and the sofa turns to be a robot, and he freaks the
Uh,
hell out of him. And then he's like starts to fight him, and he's like, and everything's like, oh my god, he's beating me to the pulp. Maybe I'm very tired. This couch is gonna swallow me. And he starts screaming, and he's like, his brother's like, hey, are you okay? It was just a dream. And then to top it off, it wasn't just a dream, because that
yeah,
couch is
right.
still a robot. So this is the extras. So because they clearly say that, and there's an extra storyline of nightlife as well in the Turtles, which is drawn by Kevin Eastman still, but
Uh,
there's inks by Ryan Brown, and oh, the letterer. That's the guy, Steve Levine, maybe, or
Steve
maybe not.
Levine. Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's the letterer. Yeah, so he's the letterer in this one, and it's the panels are like smaller. So there's extras as well in this edition, and another a gem after you finish this extras, which was really good to actually story. You get this some extra posters kind of
Oh,
thing what they came
sweet.
out with.
The early stuff. Can you go back one page again just
Yeah,
for a sec?
yeah,
That one on the left there.
yeah,
That's amazing. That's amazing.
yeah. So that was drawn in '83. It's
Yeah,
even
that was
dated.
the first stuff they were talking about.
Yeah.
So good.
And then of course, not only that, you have a beautiful young face of Kevin Eastman and Peter in here. So he attended a class of Joe Kubert School.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it says oh wait, what is it? Feduniet's profile. I don't know. I haven't read it yet. It's the extra information. Oh, they talk about Steve Levine and Janice Cohen and Stanley Whiter. It's a media critic. So I guess they giving all props to other creators who basically got part of the crew while it's creating Turtles. So yeah, jam, jam, jam. What a lucky girl I am. Basically,
Hell of a
uh,
score.
yeah, and I was because I have now issue 2, and then with that, so I'm gonna read them. Definitely, I'm gonna. Oh, let me just check. No, we don't have extras like this first volume did. Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
my
reading.
volume 2 doesn't have any extras either.
Oh wow, we live about 15 minutes away from Cubit School.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice. I'm looking forward to see this origin, because the way they telling the origin in the new editions will be interesting as well, and looks like fantastic read. I'm looking forward to. I'm
It's
so
such a
happy.
it's such a fun read, honestly. Like
Yeah,
I'm nowhere near as big a fan as you are,
yeah,
and I loved it. So I mean, I hope that you really enjoy it, especially with all your knowledge of them. But
yeah.
I thought it was great stuff. And again, like looking back on it,
Uh-huh.
it's clear why it became so popular to me. Even
Yeah,
now, it's still really entertaining stuff.
yeah. This is book 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one is colors as well, which is yeah sacrilege.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And
Awesome.
that's my
Yeah.
only one gripe as well too. I do enjoy the color stuff. I
Mm,
wish that they did these collections in black and white, but
yeah.
I don't I like the coloring is fine. Steve Levine does the coloring as
Hmm.
well in the
Yeah. Exactly. So yeah, it's still as entertaining. So yeah, I'm extremely pleased to see this stuff in like, I
especially
mean,
for
I
that
find the turtles
cheese.
at all. It's crazy, for me, because that's nothing you usually get find in the, because it's such a popular item of reading for anybody who gets into comic books or everything. But yeah, if you at all can somehow find this, yeah, I don't know if you can have this kind of like luck I
Mhm.
somehow drawn upon, which is honestly, I was so surprised. I took it. I went to the till, and the first thing I was thinking, she's like, "Oh yeah, sorry, that price is wrong," because that's what I
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah,
thinking.
yeah.
Because I didn't want
Yeah,
that,
they
but
don't know.
yeah, but they did somehow. They didn't know that, so yeah, very, very, and
A friend of
having
mine
them,
found a copy
yeah,
of Air Pirate Funnies the
Yeah.
infamous
Yeah.
underground comic that got everybody sued. That's like hundreds of dollars. He found it in a charity shop for like 99 cents. They don't
Shoot.
know. They see the Disney characters on. They stick a 99-cent sticker on it, and he scooped it up. This is a couple of
Jeez.
years ago, but I mean, you never know what you find in those places, which is why people hunt, right? Because they
Uh,
just put stuff out. They get so much stuff in, they put it out, and they don't really give it too much thought in
the
some of the
thing,
places, not all the
yeah.
places.
The thing, the same places I used to find graphic novels, and they were always overpriced, like extremely, like like reprint of a reprint, and they still
Mm-hmm.
wanted to spend like £20. So when I saw
Yeah.
that price tag for the turtle, I was like, surely you know what you have there. But I guess I wasn't even like I remember afterwards when we had the conversation, I remember you were talking about them, but that's because that's how you got into your turtles in the first place. And I was
Mm-hmm.
thinking that's why probably clearly I was aware of it, but I wasn't because I see Penguin's house. I'm so surprised they actually even printed in Penguin's house. That's why
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying,
Mm-hmm.
because it's an English, very English popular.
Well, and
Uh,
pretty close. Like my volume, my book 3 is a third printing, and that
yeah,
says it's from 1989.
yeah,
So the 87, I guess, was the first comic
yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
Because my book 2 is 87, and it's a
yeah,
first printing. So I mean, it was it's pretty good that again, it just goes to show how much of an impact it had that they
yeah,
were just making sure this stuff got out everywhere to kind of everybody wanted to cash in on it, right?
yeah,
So
yeah, exactly. So yeah, so it's amazing. So yeah, that's very good. I am so now, like I say, I have this gap filled, and another thing is I was reading them in digital format because I did purchase a digital format turtles collection because and when we were talking about that, I never got into this like fully read the whole story of the turtles from the beginning from the creators. I was going into digital first because that was very convenient and was cheaper than your book at the time. And then
mhm.
I realized that they don't have the whole material, was another kind of drawn. But reading, I read some of the stories, but that's what I'm struggling with these days. When I read digital, my brain doesn't collect information. The minute I
Mhm.
read in paper and I flip those pages, it's like click, like tick
There, yeah,
something in my brain. It's like, okay, there you go. You flip the pages, and I
yeah,
remember the story so much better, which is always my preferred way of reading anyway. So
yeah,
yeah, I'm very happy.
yeah.
I'm so
It's super cool. You got the score of the century.
yeah, I'm so
Kind of
pleased. Yeah,
unfrickin' believable.
for my
Unfrickin' believable.
for my husband, sell it, make money. I was like,
Yeah, right.
no, it's a turtle.
No, keep it, keep it, keep it.
Oh well, I
Don't
saw
listen
on
to the
eBay in this part of the world, on eBay UK, whatever website. So I looked it up to see what kind of price tags they. £200 somebody wants
Oh,
for which is
for
absolute
just one
bonkers.
of the books or all four?
One,
Oh,
which is crazy.
200 pounds.
Yeah,
That is crazy. Because
yeah,
even the first comics, like I've seen the first comics
yeah,
volume 1,
hmm,
and I think it was like 25 or $30, like
yeah,
Canadian dollars.
yeah,
I mean, it wasn't in mint condition or
yeah,
anything,
yeah,
but like
yeah.
that seems pretty excessive.
But because
Um,
this one is like apparently it's in extremely good condition. It's like almost brand new looking.
yeah,
Like there's
right.
no
It
not
looked,
even increase.
yeah, no,
And
they
then
looked pretty sharp in the photos when you sent them to me.
yeah, and then also the eBay ones, the ones I saw, which is like kind of big price tags. So some of them are cheaper, like you issue free on eBay, which is like very good, like opinion. So they charge 40 quid per pop.
Uh huh.
Still £40 as well, a lot for like if you can fork up. Of course, if I would have known kind of thing, but when I find in this kind of price tag, you start to like, okay, deal is like score, like treasure. I basically
Yeah,
went
yeah,
for treasure hunting and I found one
yeah. Absolutely. Would
by
have been a
chance.
good episode of a TV
Yeah,
show. I'm sure
yeah.
there's a BBC show of treasure hunters. There's got to
Oh
be.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
definitely is.
yeah. Right.
But they talking about 25,000 of
Yeah, of
pounds for
course.
brooch. For
Yeah,
brooch.
right.
But it's like, yeah, I wanted to kind of throw it away, and he cried on the TV because they're saying because something stopped him from selling it. Okay, because he basically wanted to get rid of it, so he went as a joke to the treasure hunters showed this
Mhm.
brooch and said, "Well, it's 25,000 pounds worth of money in that brooch." And he's like, he went sobbing his eyes out, like
Yeah.
proper, like completely gone. Like he started crying. It's like, "Oh my God, what happened? Something was like saving me up there," or something like
Yeah.
that.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it happens to people, which is
Yeah. Shit. Yeah. It does.
that's why how addictive it is for people trying to hunt for things.
Absolutely. Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
one famous guy who likes to go for like looking for charity shops or restore stuff. He's moving location, and everybody's like, "Oh my God!" So he's gonna wipe out all the area because he's like very good at it.
Yeah.
Because he's apparently wherever where he lived is dried out. He can't find any more
Hmm.
anything, so he's moving this whole thing. Whatever established is very famous in here in England. I forgot his name anyway, but he's moving the whole thing because apparently he can't find anymore.
Yeah. Right.
It's
He's
crazy.
cleaned everything out, so he's got to move. That's
Yeah,
hilarious.
so he's those restorers, and English loves the restorations. You even
Yeah.
find people with metal detectors. Just recently saw in our area
Hmm.
like a band of like maybe 30 people on a farming field.
Mm.
Each have like 5 rows with metal detector going sweeping. We've
Yeah.
never seen this before, but now apparently it's like a thing to do.
Yeah. I see it on the beaches here. Not in great numbers or anything. Not a ton of them,
No,
but you do
yeah.
see them every once in a while
Oh
with
yeah,
their.
we have it in here as well, which is kind of
Yeah.
bizarre. You usually see the pensioners, like walking around at the beach and
Hmm.
with like oversized headphones.
Yeah.
And
Right.
then it goes to sweeping. One time one guy bumped into me because he was like concentrating on the sand, I guess. But the
Right.
amount, but they say amount of people lose their rings and jewelry. It's basically that's
Yep.
what you're basically going for, especially
Yeah.
in
Absolutely.
season. In
Yeah.
season, anyway.
Some quick bucks.
No.
Um. So I read Long John Silver #2.
Oh,
This
you
is
found
one
the
that I.
second.
Sorry, what's
Okay.
that?
You found the second one.
I did, yeah. So I had that gift card that I got given
Hmm.
for Amazon
Oh.
and I had some money left on it, so I picked up book #2.
Uh-huh.
Um, so this is the writer that is currently writing the Animal Castle book that I'm loving,
Xavier
Javier
Dorson.
Dorson, I guess,
Hmm.
and then the artist is Matthew Lofray. I love this book.
Hmm.
This really kind of solidified this story for me. So, as I was
Oh.
saying, after I read the first one, it's not. They make sure to say, like, listen, we're not looking to kind of attach onto Treasure Island. This isn't like an unofficial sequel. This is just us loving the character of Long John Silver and making up our own story about him. This whole issue takes place on the boat. Like they're now going to find this El Dorado.
Hmm. Oh wow.
And we're getting more we start off with Long John Silver kind of telling stories of his pirate days, and it just really they do really good. My dad read this to us when we were kids. I don't have huge memories about it, but it was one of his favorites, and they do a really nice job of Long John
Oh
Silver
wow.
kind of not totally being honest, kind of withholding some information. And they
Hmm.
also do a really good job of portraying him like, listen, you may think he's your friend. He is not a friend to anybody. He is out for himself and
Hmm.
he will kill you in a fucking heartbeat. So don't,
Okay.
don't, they really do a nice job of portraying him as like, he is a dangerous man. And
Uh-huh.
we are all now trapped on a ship with him and his pirate crew. This was
Yeah.
a really, really solid issue. I love this. I think there's only 4 volumes total, so I
Hmm.
really want to get my hands. I was looking on Cinebook today, through Cinebook themselves in
Hmm.
the UK. I can still
Yeah.
get those books, so I may have to do an order direct. I was checking with my comic shop to
Hmm.
see if they can do it, but through their channels, it's long out of print because I think this is 2011.
Oh
Yeah,
wow.
2011 is the English translation. The original is 2008. But I've talked about Cinebook before. I always feel like their books are worth um, trying out. The stuff that they put out, I think it's always worth having a look into. But
Uh-huh.
this has been a really solid read rather. And I
Mm.
also think like he's good at writing kind of this political kind of subtext to things, and I feel
Mhm.
like there's some of that in here too that's only going to get more interesting as the book goes on. But this one is filled with kind of like people turning on each other and shedding allegiances, but it's
Mhm.
just super interesting because you are on a boat. There's nowhere that you can go. It almost becomes kind of like
Yeah.
not quite it's not the violence isn't the level of like a horror story, but it sort of has that idea, like you can't escape. There is no escape,
Well,
and
that's
people are turning on each other, and even the ship's captains, they know that their time is numbered, so they just have to make sure they can get to shore. We just need to make sure we can get to shore, and then we stand a fighting chance. But
cool.
yeah, really, really good. It feels
Really
like
good.
one that I'll probably reread when
Uh-huh.
I get the other two books, just to kind of read it in a chunk. I can't really
So
afford to send off for anything now.
so we have released four of them, four volumes
I,
of
I think
this.
there's only 4 volumes. Yeah, that's all that I saw on the Cinebook
Uh-huh.
website.
Uh-huh.
I don't think there was any more, but
Yeah.
that's all that they had. But it's
Uh-huh.
it's tough to tell sometimes with this translated stuff. I was watching a video of The Killer, that series that I like,
Yeah.
and I thought I had everything translated in English, and apparently not. Apparently there's like, I don't
Oof.
know what he said, 11, or did he say even 17 different books, something
Jeez.
like that. It's been made into a movie. David Fincher did a movie out of The
Oh.
Killer.
Oh,
So this
okay.
analog comics guy was talking about the series, and
Uh-huh.
so it's hard to tell with translated stuff if they're translating the entire thing. Obviously, the other thing that also becomes frustrating, like what happened with a couple of books like Thorgal, more specifically,
Yes.
they put stuff out in a different order, so it's, am I really
Oh.
getting the whole story if I get the 4 volumes, or is there more? But strong book, great character,
Uh-huh.
really nice job of kind of making him as
Yeah.
motherfucker is dangerous. He is dangerous. He is not a good man. Yes,
Uh-huh.
he's got some really good stories. Yes, he's very charming. Yes, he tells some good jokes, but man is dangerous. So such a fun read. Really glad I gave it a shot.
So the Cinebook, how did you check the shipping prices they're gonna
I didn't
implement?
look into it that degree yet. I think if I
Uh-huh.
do end up ordering right from Cinebook, I'll probably wait, and I'll probably order a bunch of stuff
Yeah.
instead of just 2 books, and make it worth it and just order a bunch of series. Because there's a few things, even on a quick browse through their site, there's a few things I'd like to try out. So
Yeah.
I figure I may as well wait and just amass kind of a nice sizable order and
Well, the thing
spend
is,
$100 or something to get a bunch of books.
I see. Because I was thinking then if it's gonna be outrageously crazy priced, because
Mhm.
because I'm in UK and UK based, they are UK based, and
Yep.
if I want to order some stuff, maybe I can add your stuff, and because they apparently like ship for free for me if you some
Oh,
set
really?
you read some certain level of books. I mean the amount of money you're
Yep.
spending, so then I can basically send it to you. Maybe that would be a bit less, for you to wait for a
Yep.
very long period of time. I was thinking of that kind of thing because you keep on saying I don't know how you feel about it when you start with dwelling in that album format of storytelling. You start maybe maybe we like tender eyes of ours needing the bigger pages to appreciate it a
Yep.
bit more. But when you start going into that, like those turtles, like for example, reading in that format is so nice because
It's
the
so
pages
nice.
just blows up, and your art, you don't have to squint too much because the panel, it depends on the choice of the panel of the artist that you are choosing in the comic. And yeah, in Cinebook, like most of the books are that size because they are
Mhm.
going original format kind of thing, which is
Unfortunately, they
fantastic.
with the Thorgal ones though, they went a
Yeah.
bit smaller. And I mean,
Did
as
they?
far as like European stuff goes,
Yeah.
like in the
Yeah.
past few years, pretty much the majority of those 4 cubes are European album size stuff. And then
Uh-huh.
up in the shelf up here that you
Uh-huh.
can't see, there's a bunch more up there. Like the amount of
Mhm.
this stuff I've found over the years, and I've really
Mhm.
gotten into it,
Yeah.
it just keeps growing and growing. So,
Yeah.
but I love this album format. I think it's just really nice way to see everything. And it's not like it's twice
No.
the size of a comic or anything, but it is
No.
that little bit bigger, right? I think it makes
Exactly.
a big difference. And again, like For me, it's the storytelling. The stories that they're telling are just a lot more interesting to me
Yeah,
than. I'm not saying that there's nothing good in North America. Obviously, that's not true because I read a
yeah,
ton of it, right? But I
yeah.
really am drawn to kind of the European style of storytelling and that art and all of that stuff. I find it really interesting and a lot more engaging the majority of
Uh-huh.
the time. Obviously, there's been a couple of duds, but for the
Mhm.
most part, everything that I've found, I love.
Yeah, but they have a lot of stuff. Like,
And they have lots of stuff. Yeah, lots of
yeah,
stuff.
that's no, it's a no. Yeah, the website is oof, you kind of like get lost in translation because I know some of the stuff like from Earl Grey's videos because he
Hmm.
was talking lots of that publishing kind of material wise, but this German translated for him, which he has so much bigger, greater library than what we have English readers, which is kind of upsetting still to this day. But you can't
Hmm.
change many lots of things. Like 13, that spy stories.
Yeah,
There's
love it. It's
actually,
great. Yeah.
there's a game made for it.
Yeah, I had it on GameCube.
Uh-huh.
It's an amazing game. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
Marvel did a couple way back in the day. They did the first two volumes, maybe.
Oh,
They didn't
I
go any
didn't know
further
that.
with it, but I've got a few of those, and they're really good reads as well. But the
And
game was a blast, and I'm not really a gamer.
yeah, because I was like always wanted because I think wasn't you showing me some of the or was I somebody else on YouTube showing actual comic of that storyline? Were you? I think you have,
Yeah, it
don't
was
you?
probably me. Yeah, because I've got a few of the books. Yeah, I've got a
Because
few of them.
I keep looking at those, and there's quite a lot of them. It's like
There is,
really a
but
lot.
honestly, they're really, really good. Like
Yeah.
I've read I've only read a few volumes, like three or
Hmm.
maybe 4 or 5 volumes. I don't remember, but
Yeah.
amazing, amazing stuff. Yeah.
I haven't, as I say, I haven't read it in that much apparently. I thought I did, but I can't see anything what reminds me of the story that much.
Hmm.
That's not the good things. But I'm going to show you what I'm going to read from library I found. It's quite
Yes.
a few entertaining things. So Juliana Fleary was the way he's writing. I don't like the Nightingale that never sang. It's the new. This is published by Featherproof Books, which I've never don't have a clue who's
Yeah,
Featherproof.
don't know.
So it's very fresh. It's been published just recently. Seems to be 21. The publish, but something I like too of art style. So I was thinking
Yeah,
definitely gonna
beautiful.
give it a try. So this is one of my library's finds, which is I always interesting thing. It changes as well the color scheme, but I really like those eyes. There's this
Hmm.
style of people choosing quite a few of them. I've seen art wise, but there's some scary moments as well. But it's really intriguing looking book. Of course, the cover helps a lot with popping colors, so maybe
Hmm.
that's what got me interested to pick it up. As I say, I never do pick up. I don't pick up books based on whatever's in the back anymore because I just whatever fancies the way it looks. Then another one, Andy Watson and Simon Gain, Paris storyline. It's by
Nice.
Image Comics, so it's Image Publishing. So it was when they came published. Oh, that's interesting. There's lots of Paris. Um, 2022. So recent. The artist, as you, it starts like this scenery of the Paris, and it completely goes through. I really like it.
Looks really
I
nice. Yeah.
find it fascinating when people delve into architecture and perspective wise they nail it, which is very sad for me because I'm afraid of perspective. You can just disappear in the pages,
Hmm.
and it's a yellowy. I don't know if you can portray in the camera, but it's yellow pages in, so it really works. I like black and white plus one color. I think
Hmm.
that's one of my favorite combinations of graphic novels. I think that's a perfect choice. If you go black and white, choose another color, and it just goes really well for me, and it intrigues me. So yeah, American art student travels to City of Light to study painting. Apparently, this is the story of her. Will
Hmm.
be in here, and then Josh Simmons and Friends, Flake Corpse, and Other Stories.
Oh Jesus!
And that's Fantagraphic Books, of course.
Brace
Uh,
yourself.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I don't know that book, but I know Josh Simmons stuff and can be
Well, like
pretty
this.
goddamn dark. Yeah, right.
Wait. Oh, look at that. Didn't look inside. Now it's. Yeah. Oh, looks crazy. Oh, look at that.
Yeah, Josh Simmons. He's a hell of an artist. I
Seattle.
haven't read a ton of his stuff, but
Oh
the
my
stuff
God,
I
this is crazy. Look at this.
yeah. Yeah. Two girls, one
Okay.
cup.
So this is published 2018. Okay, this
Mhm.
is like this is what it tells you. Like, look at the content. It's crazy. There's like
Yeah,
what 164 pages. Yeah, so it's gonna be intriguing. I didn't even. It looks so good because
great looking cover.
yeah, but will be intriguing to see my feelings about it. If you just brace myself, that's a it's a sign. But a lot
Yeah,
of
I
good.
mean, I don't know who else is in there, but Josh Simmons himself, like his stuff is
Yeah.
can be pretty dark, but
Let's see. I'll tell you because there's a content thing which is very helpful. It doesn't say
oh yeah,
who's.
yeah.
Oh wait. Story Inks so Josh Smith and oh yeah. So wait. Where else? Oh yeah. So Tara Booth, Eroy Franklin, Joe Garber, Ben Horak, Ross Jackson, Patrick Keck, Shayna Matushak, Pat Moriarty, Anders Nilsson, Eric Reynolds,
Ooh.
James Romberger, and Tom Van Dusen.
Oh wow.
No,
Yeah. A
no,
few
no.
names I recognize.
Do you? Because I don't
Yeah.
recognize any. So that will be
Anders
interesting.
Nelson. Anders Nielsen is the big questions guy and
Uh-huh.
beautiful artist, really beautiful artist.
Okay, cool. Well, it's definitely a collection of artists for sure. So, oh yeah, that I like. I mean, it's gruesome, but this I like.
Yeah, that looks like Simmons.
Yeah, look,
Yeah,
that's like the cowls and
yeah,
stuff,
that's
isn't it?
Batman. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, cupcakes. Ooh, it looks. Look at this panel. I think he has
Yeah,
something
that's
about shitting. Huh?
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the Joker Man. I think that
Yeah.
story with the Joker Man.
Oh, it looks crazy. Okay,
It's
I'm
good.
already.
It's so
I'm
good.
intrigued already. It looks crazy, but I'm intrigued. And then there's more compilation. So this is. I didn't realize it was a compilation. That's why I'm trying to say this is my first reaction to see a book inside the book I picked because I don't. Oh, and there's. Oh, intriguing. You must say. Oh, look. There's this kind of
Oh, nice.
type of reading, an intruder for free. Right?
Huh.
And it goes with a different artist as well. Look.
Yeah, right.
Oh, that's not experience. I always experience the reading this way, but it will be interesting.
See if my
Yeah.
library has this one.
Yeah, looks cool. Oh,
Does
there you
look
go.
good.
I lost this already. So this is the free books that really made me interested, and I found Star Trek Explorer presents the short story collections of Star Trek. It's by Titan Comic Books because I am a Star Trek fan.
hmm
If you can believe it, because I keep on talking about Star Wars lately. Yeah, it's quite a few. There's even telling you like unexpected honor, like some storylines about how I guess they made the show and stuff.
Right.
So it's more like a book of information more than the comic book itself. So
That's cool.
yeah, but as I say, I do read books as well.
Yeah,
Sometimes
yeah.
this is just the one proof
Yeah, right.
of that as well. But I like the history of this because I'm kind of invested quite a lot of my youth and now this time of my life to Star Trek anyway. So I thought that would be
Right.
intriguing enough. So yeah, that's quite a few library books I'm looking forward to read. But I never this week. Oh, school and education is another story.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, it's been preoccupying my brain quite a lot.
Yeah,
So
no,
yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
So Ogon, I'm looking forward to see what you have left. What else you read?
I won't go through everything. I'll just kind of do a couple of things here.
Go on.
I found another Tundra sketchbook series one.
Oh,
John Toddleben,
yes, that's
um,
the
Swamp
guy who.
Thing stuff.
Yes, yes, he took over Swamp Thing, isn't it? From
Yeah.
after Alan Moore left.
And on the back, a portrait of the artist. Oh, here, let me do this.
Yeah, yeah, that would be.
A portrait of the artist with one of his muses.
Whoa.
It's pretty good. I'm surprised that I found it. Again, it was dollar bin kind of thing,
Oh,
so it's cool, a nice write
they're
up.
rare.
Yeah, it is hard to find this stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but I seem to be hitting a vein, I guess, of some Tundra stuff because I found another Tundra book today, actually,
Oh
an Al
wow.
Columbia. I'm most of the way through it already. Al Columbia, something called, what the heck is this one called? Doghead, also from Tundra Books. So I was
Oh.
talking to the guy at 204 Comics, and he was saying, yeah, he's gotten a few smaller collections in.
Mm-hmm.
He's gotten some really good stuff. One of them is a Steranko book, just as an aside, a Steranko book. In 1977, I think some people locally got a Steranko exhibit to come to the Winnipeg Art Gallery, and they
Mm-hmm.
did a book of that kind of showing or that show or whatever. And
Yeah.
apparently there was a poster that went along with it too. The guy
Mm-hmm.
who sold his little bit of collection
Oh wow.
to the shop is looking for the poster to see if he has it. So I've sort of earmarked that Steranko book. He wanted, I think, $60 Canadian for it, which
Mm-hmm.
isn't too bad apparently considering where it goes for online. Anyway, that's an
Yeah.
aside. But he's getting some interesting stuff in. But this was cool to see. Toddleben, there's a lot of really cool stuff in here and a
Mm-hmm.
lot of different media. You know, we're getting some real rough stuff and we're getting some real
Yeah.
which one, Tatman? Which one did you buy? This one or the Doghead book?
Yeah.
So yeah,
Oh,
I mean, these sketchbooks are just super cool to see people's
yes.
processes and figure studies and that, right? Like
And
really
inspiration.
beautiful looking stuff.
Yeah.
And then we get some more kind of stuff that's a little more finished and painted, so that's very cool. And just
Oh,
meager little write-ups at the bottom, nothing too the
yeah.
sketchbook one, yeah, nothing too detailed. I wish
Oof.
there was sometimes a little more of the backstory of
Yeah.
this kind of stuff. I guess when it's a sketchbook there isn't always backstory, it is just what it is.
Oh, because,
This one is watercolor on tissue paper and illustration board. But
uh-huh.
that's beautiful. One of the better pieces on there. These cities on the back of these dinosaurs.
Yeah. Like the short story of belief that we existing on the back of a turtle.
Uh-huh.
Uh,
That would be that would be incredible if
yeah.
that were true.
Yeah.
This one's nice. Again with this square bound stuff, it is a bit difficult to see the whole thing.
The
It's
play on
like
that Earth wasn't really round, but we are actually just a mere small community living on the back of a turtle.
uh-huh.
So, oh,
There we go.
lovely.
Yeah,
Look at
so cool. Pretty good, pretty damn good.
that.
Um, I'd like to find I'd love to find the whole series, and the way that it's going, who knows, maybe that's a
Oh,
little more of a reality than I thought.
it looks like you're
Um,
on a roll.
the one that was on my pull list was
Oh,
Night Cruising by Mr. Harry Nordlinger,
uh-huh.
who I'm a big fan of his Vacuum Decay anthology, and I love his stories there. This was one he did with Floating World Comics, $6 for it. It's kind of an odd size,
Much bigger than the
for
comic. Yeah.
a comic. It's a little wider and a little shorter than a regular comic.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, as much as I like Harry Nordlinger, I love the Vacuum Decay series. I love his art style.
Mm-hmm.
This one didn't do too much for me. I wouldn't. It's one that I wouldn't necessarily steer people to if you weren't familiar with his work.
Oh.
Kind of this slasher-ish type of story. This guy dropping acid and picking up women. It doesn't really. It sort of meanders. It's sort of like this
Mhm.
one night in this guy's life as he's kind of indulging in
Mhm.
drugs and prostitutes and this kind of um I don't know what you'd call it. Yeah, I don't know. It didn't feel like a full story. Nordlinger's kind of horror short stories are great, but this one kind of felt like it didn't really have a place that it ended up in. You know what I mean? It just felt
Okay.
like a couple of series. Like he meets this guy to buy this kind of snuff type photos from him
Oh
of
wow.
these women that have
Mhm.
been killed, and yeah, so I mean, I would steer people towards Vacuum Decay before this. It's
Mhm.
great that he's getting his name out there and he's doing something with Floating World. I think that's incredible that people will get to experience his work and kind of see his name through that way. But yeah, I don't know if I'd point you towards this. Well done looking comic. Like it's nothing wrong with the book itself. It's pretty solid.
Mhm.
Um, what else? I guess I'll talk about these two last things here because these were kind of highlights for me. Let's take this one out. So I found this number one
Mhm.
of Lycanthrope Leo, which was a Viz premium comic or premiere comic rather. This is
Mm.
book one. Kengo Kaji and Kenji Okamura
Oh wow.
from I don't know what year that was from. This was a fantastic kind of werewolf story. This is 1994 is when this came out. Such a great mix of kind of collaging elements like photos mixed with art. Then you get some of the kind of the very even though there's a real familiarity with the manga with the drawing itself, it has kind of this extra texture to it where it feels like it's way more defined, almost like pixelated and shaded, and you're getting some really great like this
Oh
face is
yes.
beautiful. It's
Oh
beautifully
wow.
done.
Mhm.
It's a pretty intriguing story as well too. There's been this whole society of humans that at a certain age they take
Oh.
on the characteristics of animals, and this
Mhm.
one character, our main character, is a wolf, and he's starting to exhibit some of that power of being an animal.
Oh.
His father is a cop, and you start to kind of get a little insight into his father's past with these
Mhm.
creatures and this kind of society that has been sent to make sure that they kill all of these creatures.
Yeah.
A hell of a good read. I think there might have only been 8 or 9 issues of this as well too, so
Jeez.
not too much to try to hunt down, but
Mhm.
such a good issue, um, especially as we get down to
How do you
the
find stuff
very
like that? I just
yeah, you just see it. Like I just see it, and I see one issue, and I give it a try. I've got one other issue, like issue 7 or something, maybe,
how is it?
which I haven't opened up because I don't want to spoil it. But let's get you to this one
Oh my god, that
shot
artist.
here. Yeah,
The
here we
one
go.
the one
Here's
thing
him
I love,
transforming.
yeah, the emotions, the portrayal of black and white, but the emotions is so strong, and the way they put, like, just I don't know, just jealous basically. The way they
Yeah,
portray our emotions in the on the piece of paper. Oh wow, look at that stuff, man,
isn't that
crazy.
intense? Like that's a hell of a like slicing through his head
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
It's amazing, and it's like I said, it's a genuinely good story as well too. So the beauty of like when you find the cheap bins, taking a really good look through them because you just and giving shit a chance, and the only
Hmm.
reason I gave it a chance is because it's Viz,
Yeah,
and I didn't love the cover, but it stood out to me enough that
yeah.
it looked worth trying. So I'm really glad. I don't know
The
what else these creators have done.
Yeah, but the cover does look for like meh. You probably
Yeah,
would skim through it. That's the thing. But
yep,
you have to look inside. That's the thing with the cheap bins. Sometimes the cover is not something what tells you inside, especially when it comes to manga art as well. You know.
totally.
And then like kayfabes were talking about how to like that latest video. I think they were talking about if comic book stores will survive, and they were talking about how they're trying to dwell now, because I don't know if you probably seen now in comic book shops that they're doing, like DC comic books doing the manga versions of Batman, Superman, and the format is exactly like your manga. The trades you get, that's really tiny, like oversized, like graphic novels type of the book. So they trying to dwell in that market to get the audience, I guess, or to see some other people coming into comic books, because they
Right.
were talking about how, like, I started the same way. So I went to the comic book shop. I asked even the comic book guy, what should I start reading with, or what, where do I poke my hand into, so I actually understand what comic books is all about. And it's how difficult Marvel or DC makes for new readers, or even for people who's reading for a long time, to recommend something for new readers,
Yeah. Right.
because they making it so complicated. Like Marvel in particularly, to take as an example, if you want to read Wolverine, if he's part of that X-Men, and then he's part maybe of the Avengers, and then where do you go? Like,
Yeah.
even
Right.
myself, as a fan of X-Men, I'm lost to what they're trying to do with them. Because apparently
Hmm.
now that big story about Krakow, like that living island, where it's basically there was a refuge for the whole mutant nation, and they were hiding away there, and then they just got destroyed. But the actual person who they Moira Taggart basically went in there and just done whatever, they destroyed it. But what happened beforehand? What's happened in that story? I don't have a clue
Hmm.
still. And if somebody would ask me what's these days X-Men stories good to read, maybe Hickman stuff, maybe, but that's
Yeah. Right.
intense. And there would be, because Hickman is not something you would recommend a new reader to go and just delve into, because he's very methodical in storytelling, but he
Yeah.
explodes with information in the page, and we're like, oh, so I have to read this information beforehand because I don't understand what happened, and then
Hmm.
like that kind of stuff. So I
Hmm.
guess what people are trying to do now, go manga route, and to find the
I mean,
success
you
there.
have to, the YA route and the manga route. So I mean,
Yeah.
if the comic books
Mm.
have to change, they have to adapt. They have to bring in some more of those things like the books, like the bookstores do, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it ain't easy, but I think that it's just that there are too many old guys holding on to the past of comics, and they're unfortunately a
Mm.
part of a lot of the comic shops, and they're really trying to force those books on people, not realizing that, guess what, those books, people don't want those books. They want the YA stuff. They want the manga. They're not drawn to the big two like you were when you were a kid. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of like, you got to get over that shit, as far from my perspective of, you just
Mm.
got to get over it. It's not happening. People, they're not into it. I see my son, and I see he reads a ton of manga. He'll
Yeah.
read some other stuff too, but he's really into that kind of stuff. I see my daughter, and she's huge into the YA stuff, and there's so much of it out there for her to discover. And even at not even like the big names, like the
Yeah.
Babysitters Club and these kind of things, like there's a ton of stuff. She's got a few books. We were looking on her shelf just the other night, actually, as we were kind of organizing her room, and
Hmm.
there's a lot of books that she's reading now that she's loving, with
Hmm.
creators I've never heard of, but they're in their own universe, and it's a million of them, right? That's the stuff that the kids are reading. So if you want to exist as a comic shop, you need to
Mm.
sort of amalgamate all of that stuff, have some back issues for the parents like
Yeah.
me who are bringing in their kids, but
Yeah.
then have a huge section where you start to tap into that book market, I think.
Yeah.
Now that means obviously you need a bigger footprint, you need a bigger shop, which isn't exactly something that everybody can afford to, but there needs to be some sort of amalgamation of blending the bookstores with the comic shops and trying to figure something like that out, because that's
Hmm.
where you're going to have success. Because when we go to the bookstores, I see kids in the graphic novel section all the time.
Yeah.
They're they're there, the kids are there. They don't give a single shit about the X-Men. They don't give a single shit about Doctor Strange. They don't give a single shit about all that stuff. They just don't. They do not care. Even if you had the greatest writers, they still
Uh-huh.
wouldn't care. They're just not interested in it, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, and I hear that, Tat, but again, I'd say that you can have the greatest stories and greatest art for Marvel and DC, and you're just not going to attract the kids. You just won't. they don't want it. It's not what they're drawn to. They may be drawn to the movies, but they're
Yeah.
just not into the stuff that their parents are reading. You know what I mean? Like, obviously,
Mm.
there's going to be outliers in there. There's going to be some kids that like it. I mean,
Yeah.
those DC books that my daughter was getting with Wonder
Mhm.
Woman and stuff like that, they she loved those ones, and she loves the movies. She
Mhm.
doesn't want to read. Here, you like the Doctor Strange movie? Here's the essential collection of Doctor Strange. She doesn't want to read that shit. She absolutely has no interest in it.
No.
But trying the little bit that they do, she will tap into it. But she's not jonesing for that stuff. She loves all this other stuff she's finding. Like,
Mm.
she'll read it. We get a book for her at the bookstore, a graphic
Mhm.
novel that she's into. She reads it on the way home in the car. As soon as we sit in the car and she's got her
Oh,
seatbelt on,
wow.
right away she's into it and reading it. By the time we got home, sometimes she's finished the book, and then she'll read it 2 or 3 more times, right? So
Oh, that's
it's
cool.
just a different thing they're interested in.
Mm.
So maybe for my last one to talk about, it was
Yeah.
another highlight and
Mhm.
another thing that happens when you dip into kind of these back issue bins is you find something that I would love to read a series, and this was the only book that was produced, The Secrets of Sarah Winchester.
Uh-huh.
So again, the infamous Winchester House. This
Mm.
is written by Dan Vado, illustrated by Drew Rausch. Apparently, this illustrator, I don't know if it was this creative team,
Mhm.
but they did the Disney not House of Mystery, it's
The
that
lit
ghost train kind of thing.
Ghost Train?
Anyway, there was an anthology that was done,
Uh-huh.
that these guys were the creators on as well. I love their style. I loved these stories.
Mhm.
This was kind of treating the Winchester House sort of as a house of mystery. We had our groundskeeper as kind of
Mhm.
our horror host.
Gosh.
There's kind of two stories in this one here. They're very much connected,
Mhm.
but he becomes the guy that's the Haunted Mansion is the one I was trying to think of for the
I
Disney thing.
see. Yes, exactly.
He becomes the kind of guy of, like, you don't want to go in that house. The door doesn't open from the outside. The house will let you in itself. That's how you're going to get into the house. And there's what we used for the picture for today's stream there.
Mhm.
Um, so good. Really, really great. The art is beautiful in it. I love that kind of, it gives everything this kind of foggy look to it. Again, I would have easily read a dozen issues of this series, but this was the only thing that I could see that
Mhm.
came out from SLG. 2009 is when this came out.
Mhm.
So we do get a little bit of the Winchester lore. We get to hear a little bit about it, just kind of
Mhm.
told in a little bit of a different way. This was one of the books that we got from Nate, um,
Ah,
our friend who sent me that big box of books.
I see.
This is one that he found in his 50-cent bins in his part of the world there.
Mhm.
So really, really great, and it makes me want to find that Haunted Mansion, which apparently is not easy to get your hands on. I had a look on my comic shop,
Oh, is it?
Lone Star there. They didn't have a single issue. I didn't do an eBay search. I think it's been collected as well too. But if it's these same creators, I'd love to get my hands on it, because it's probably a damn good read,
Mhm.
and especially if the art style is like it is here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the highlights. There was quite a few highlights that I read this week,
Mhm.
but that was one of them. And yes, Tat, there was another about the Winchester
Yeah.
house, and for the life of me, I can't remember the name of it now. But it was that Ian Bertram, wasn't it? Wasn't
Yes.
that the artist
Yes.
that did that one? Yeah.
Yeah. I forgot
House of
the name.
Penance. House of Penance is what it was called.
Yeah. Very
Yeah.
good. But highly recommend it to you if
So good.
yeah, that's very freaky and establishes really good storyline as well. And then the art is what's the winner of that one. And anyway,
Hmm.
he Bertram's art is just a stellar, and it's like it's a perfect combination
Yep.
of for his, like, basically the story and the artist just gel so well together, basically, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
totally. It was a highlight of that year for sure.
So it's nice that you find all those little gems, even though, like some people, that's like 50 bins are really fantastic, to be honest.
Mhm.
Like when they find
Well, and
those
and the bins that
treasures.
Nate has in his shop there's so many of them. He still sends me photos. I talk to him maybe once a week or so, and he sends me a bunch of
Yeah.
photos of stuff he's found. And he's got a good vein of books there, man. And again, like all cheap because they're just sitting around. There's all of these books out there. I mean,
Hmm.
the way that my guy does his 50 cent and dollar bins is it's just mixed. So there might be like independent books, and then right after that there's Marvel books, and right after that there's DC, then there's some more modern Image, and it's just a mixed bin of stuff. So you do have to flip through every book, but
Hmm.
honestly, that's kind of fun too. It's kind of fun to flip through them all and
Oh
just pull
yeah.
stuff out. I found a nice
Exactly.
stack of Firefly books for $1 a piece, which was great.
Oh.
So I got about, I don't know, 8 or 10 of those, I think, which I'm really excited about. If I can
Mm.
find that series in the dollar bin, I'm gonna be super happy.
Oh yeah. I don't think that's we're gonna be very easy, especially if it's the earlier Firefly issues, isn't it? Or is it
The earliest
already
one,
available?
the earliest one I found today was number 6, which
Hmm.
I was really surprised at. I found 6, 7, 8, and 9. I actually
Oh.
read them already. I read them when I got home. And they're really fucking good. I was really surprised though to find this early issues because I
Yeah.
agree with you. Like,
It's
if
not
I'm gonna
easy,
have
isn't
to
it?
pay for them, I'm gonna have to pay for the early ones. But if I can find a bunch of those early ones and only have to pay a couple more dollars for the first 5, that'll be fine because they have those on my comic shop as well too for not a bad price. The early issues, nothing too crazy.
Mm. I saw you were talking earlier, like one of the chats we were about Firefly, and I was like, oh, I'm itching to watch a movie again because you keep on mentioning
Hmm.
Firefly, Firefly. I was like, come on, like, maybe because I'm not a big fan of rewatching, to be quite honest with you.
Mm,
Like Star Trek is probably, and Law and Order is probably the only two shows which I go back, just
yep.
because for comfort, it's like a real comforting things for me.
Yeah.
But somehow other things like movie wise, especially Firefly. I mean, I love Firefly in generally. I'm a huge fan of the movie, and a pity of whatever happened to it afterwards, which is like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
that's the worst thing. But yeah, I've never been, but I think I'm gonna, because you keep on mentioning, you just
It's one of those rare shows
planting
that
these
I've
seeds
watched
in
it a
my
few
brain.
times. Yeah. Yeah. I've watched it a
Yeah.
few times now, and every single time it's
Uh-huh.
still just as good. It's easily one of my favorite shows. It's so, and for me, it's the same thing, comfort. And then
Yeah.
getting into these books, the comics are great. Even though in this, the one thing I found with these early issues was
Yeah.
that, yeah, they show the characters kind of as they look on the covers, but the
Hmm.
interior art, as good as the interior art is, some
Not
of
the
the
same.
characters don't look kind of like the characters from the show,
Yeah.
to the point of where Jane, the character Jane in here, I actually didn't know it was Jane until somebody said his name. It just didn't look like him at all, right? So
Uh,
that kind of made it
uh,
difficult. But honestly, such a good story so far, and I'm only those 4 issues. It's
uh.
so good. Like that early stuff is great. And it is good art. Like I do like the art style. So
Talking about the bins, I saw in Twitter and some of the following of the followers, and somebody was showing a pictures of Comic Mart now. I was like, oh my
uh,
god! And those pictures, like, oh, I just really wish to be there, but I just can't get into. I just don't want to go to London. It's just like they
right.
really closing the doors to anybody to come in there because with all this stupid charges, and they keep on expanding the zones. Oh, it's another story anyway.
So is
But
the
I saw
comic mart grown, or is it still the same size?
no, the Martis seems apparently all good. So kind of feels all good, all the same as it was pre-COVID, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
So they struggle apparently with to get people coming in, but apparently
Yep.
now they're saying you still can find really nice deals. And they, of course, the guy was showing the pictures of the mart and then the stack of shit he picked up, and it was like, oh my god, man! It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I just really want to go. To people not aware, London Comic Mart is the thing I'm talking about, which is quite popular, and especially for back issues and stuff like the bins. We people talking about where you actually can negotiate slash find deals if you're patient
Yeah.
enough and you early enough to go inside, because there's if it's as popular as it was before, if ever mentioned. Yeah, it's I really want to go because I know Moby there's Mobius stuff in there hidden for me to
Yeah.
find. But
Well, and that's the thing. It's one of you got to save up, I guess, right? Just to
oh
get
yeah,
into the city. Never mind
yeah,
going to the mart, but
uh-huh.
just to get there.
So
Yeah.
so a train ride which doesn't last you maybe less than an hour,
Okay.
and it's about 75 pounds
Oh shit.
return.
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm gonna get returned back by how many deals because that's my brain. I calculate. So if I spend this,
Yep.
what kind of deals do I have to find to actually be worth to actually go there? Because then
Yeah.
I could buy for that money for the ticket. I could buy like easily a beautiful omnibus, which I kind of wanted and I have on my list, or several graphic novels, or even some comic books from eBay, as Lord
Yeah.
Tatman is mentioning. So
Yeah.
that stops me. It's like,
Well, because that all gets into the price of it, right? Like if it's going
yeah,
to cost you that much just to get there,
it used
how
to
good
be,
are those deals at the end of the day? It's those dollar books are now,
yeah,
well, actually that was $5 a book. You know what I mean? Yeah, sell that TMNT book and you'll be good. Yeah. Hilarious.
yeah, but
Sell
then
all four. You never know.
yeah,
Become a millionaire.
yeah, then I will be very sorry for myself afterwards because I
Yeah,
bet
yeah.
I will not find them because they're not
Yeah.
as available. Well, like I have some other, things I could sell also as well, but still, I have to sell something just to enter the place. I'm not
Yeah.
talking about actually even finding the funds for just buying stuff there. And
Mhm.
that's what, because it used to be, car drive used to be a thing for us, but now because they introduced this zone of charge and green technology to enter the car is
So is it even more expensive to drive there then than it would be
well
for the train?
£50 to enter and leave. But then the fuel
Plus the
journey, don't
fuel.
forget,
Yeah.
that's one
Yeah.
hour and a half journey. If if you enter the right way, there's no traffic and all that shit. So
Mhm.
and then £50 just to get there. I'm not talking about actually because you can't just drive in cents anymore. It's basically impossible. Or you can just spend a hell of a lot of cash who has too much money on and they don't
Yeah.
just don't care. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because you have to comply to the rules to what vehicle actually can enter the London area now.
Mhm.
If it doesn't comply, that's it. You get slapped with entering and leaving. So not only you enter, but you have to leave
Mhm.
and still pay.
Jesus Christ,
Yeah.
man. Well, and
So
then you
maybe
gotta park while you're there too. That's,
yes, that's another
gonna
one.
be
I
fucking
mean, you
expensive
can,
probably.
I believe me, I overanalyze myself to make myself feel okay to go there. And so
Yeah.
far, it's not working because I'm just like this tick, 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 tick. It's too much money to spend just for me to enjoy. So
Right.
it could believe me, it's easier for me to drive 2-3 hours up north, find a comic book shop. Would you be cheaper when just
Yeah.
enter London and back?
Right.
It's absolute
I mean, I guess
bonkers.
the bonus on the train though is, I'm assuming you can, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but
Yeah.
you can probably bring your own meal with you, right? So at least you
Oh
would
yeah,
save
yeah,
some
yeah.
money on a meal. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that
Yeah.
would be fine. That's
Yeah.
completely okay with that. And then, yes, I
Yeah.
could just go scream and look. But the train rides in England is, I mean, it's more expensive from London to Manchester than from London to my country by
Yeah.
plane. Excuse me.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. So it's £350 from London to Manchester by train.
Yeah.
And then from here to my country is £200.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Two
Get
and
the
a
fuck
half
out of here.
hours by plane ride.
Yeah.
So what do we make a choice of? And then I don't, like the train thing situation in this country is absolutely bonkers. Yeah. What do you
It
think,
was
guys?
75, wasn't it, for the train? Was it
Yeah.
75 each
Yeah.
way or 75 for both
Return.
ways?
Return.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
But that's the one with specific time. So you have to make the train. If you lose the train, you lose the ticket.
But that's just you though, right? That's just one person?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one
Jeez.
one
So
one
you're
one.
solo mission. You're going solo mission,
If I'm,
which
I'm
also
gonna
isn't
even
so much fun. You know what I mean? Like that's not.
no, because my son absolutely loves trains.
And is it free for your son though? Like, is it free
Yeah,
under a certain age? Yeah.
yeah, on certain ages. But he's
Yeah.
already reaching the age where soon it's not gonna be.
Yeah, that's right. Take those trips now while you can cash in on that free. Yeah.
He absolutely loves trains. He
Yeah.
goes like biggest smile on his
Who
face,
doesn't?
and
I love trains,
yeah, he
and I'm
just sits
50.
down and he cannot believe this moving and the sounds makes, like even though not modern trains don't do that anymore. You have to
Yeah.
have. We went to just a couple of stops like earlier when he was just maybe 2.5.
Mhm.
He went absolute like quiet but excited in the same time. He
Mhm.
wanted to just take everything in, and he was trying to look through the window, and of course the seat is so short he couldn't see through the window, so I had to sit on my lap so for him to see the window. And he was not like the puppies in the car that open the window and they have the tongue out. He's
Yeah,
basically
yeah,
was
yeah.
that but in train for a child. He was
Right.
absolutely mad for it, so it was
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah, so train rides you can find the deals also, but then a
Yeah.
specific time. I have to, and don't forget, it doesn't get me to a comic mark by one train. I have to take
Mm.
underground,
Mhm.
and underground is another. It's another fee. It's like I don't even know. I haven't been in London for so long
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
due to COVID first an excuse, but now it's like this charge thing is. It's just it doesn't make me want to go. First, it's crazy there. I lived in London for 8 years. I know exactly what it is in there. Yes, a bit more modernization, maybe in one way or another, or a bit of change of the streets. But I know I've been living in those streets for, as I say, 8 years. So I know London right, left, and center.
Mhm.
But so that part of tourist part does not interest me anymore because it's just hassle. It's more hassle than joy, because
Yeah.
the amount of people breezes through you. Whew, like this, and bumps, and you have to take care of your belongings because you never know who is going to pass you by.
Yeah, right.
It's just so it's a chore, not
Yeah.
enjoyment, unfortunately.
No, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, it's
Big
not worth
cities.
it then.
Yeah,
So why don't we
yeah.
say goodbye? I mean, I've got a few more books, but nothing really to talk about too much.
Well, it's
Why
12
don't
o'clock.
we
12 o'clock at night here, so maybe we should.
It's midnight for you. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks very much, everybody, for
Yeah,
hanging out. Andrew Lopez, always good to see you. We were talking
yeah,
about you after the stream last week. You
yeah.
are our absolute most
Superstar.
hardcore fan, and we truly, truly appreciate it. We love
Yeah,
seeing all of you every week, but we love hearing from you every week, Andrew. So thank you very much.
yeah.
Lord Tatman, great to see you. Thanks for the chat. Off my shelves, great to see you here. Jackio, always
Mhm,
good to see you as well. Sleepy Reader,
mhm.
thank you for hanging out. Paulo, the one and only Paulo to the Costa, thank you for hanging out with us for a bit. I'm sure he's asleep in his chair right now.
Yeah,
Um,
enjoying his wine.
and Donald Rex, of course, always good to see you, Donald. Thank you very much, everybody. Daryl D, thank you very much for hanging out. We will see you next week on probably on Rasa's channel, I'm assuming. I'm
Everything
pretty
goes well.
sure everything is set for me for next weekend too, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Okay. Later, everybody.
Bye bye. Have a good one.